The girl felt that her existence was similar to the life of a doll displayed in her father's store. Since childhood, the man told Scarlett that she should obey him while she was young, and after marriage, obey her husband. The father reminded the girl that she had to do this because she was the eldest daughter of the Chandler family. Scarlett was a good child. Her sky-blue eyes showed humility before her father. She had an obedient, calm character and never dreamed of going beyond her capabilities. The baby was easy to raise. Events moved to the day when Scarlett turned 20. On this day, she went to the capital by order of her father to get married. The girl was calm. A smile was visible on her face because soon she would marry the Duke, who had the greatest power after the imperial family. Samuel proposed engagement to her. The girl was a little worried because she didn't know whether the Duke was a good person and what he was like. Scarlett was very nervous thinking about the groom, whom she had never seen before. Soon the carriage arrived at the luxurious palace. The girl went inside. The delicate scent of flowers hung in the garden. Their petals easily floated in the air, spreading this wonderful aroma everywhere. Scarlett was amazed to see the interior of the house. The girl realized that the Duke's house was really different from the others. She obediently followed the butler, inspecting the Duke's luxurious apartments. After knocking, the employee informed the gentleman that Miss Chandler had arrived. The Duke ordered the girl to be let in. The brown-haired man was standing by the fireplace when his bride entered. Soon the Duke looked back, which made her a little taken aback. Scarlett said that she was very pleased to meet you. The girl introduced herself by bending over in front of her husband. Brown said his name was Samuel Huntington. The Duke suggested that Scarlett had worked hard to get here. Shaking her head, the girl replied that he was wrong. The bride's body was pierced with cold. Scarlett assured that it was an extraordinary honor for someone like her. Looking back, the blonde looked at the guest and asked who she was. The Baroness's face suddenly changed. The girl sitting on the sofa asked if the guest was the one her lover was talking about. Having embraced the blonde, the Duke introduced the girls to each other. The blonde smiled and said that her name was Joshua, but she could just call her Joy. Laughing, the blonde said that Sam called her that too. Noticeably nervous, Scarlett asked the groom who this person was. The brown-haired man grinned and said that Joy was the person he loved. Everything swam before the girl's eyes because it was destroying her ideal world. Sam told the bride that she only had 2 duties. The Duke said the bride should not have interfered with his relationship with Joy and acted like a married couple in public. The guy promised that if Scarlett did these 2 simple things, he would treat her like the mistress of the Huntington house. Sam recalled that he had given her the title of Duchess and asked her not to say that she could not do this. My father's words echoed in my head. The girl reminded herself that this was what she had to do as the eldest daughter of the Chandler family. She realized that she was chosen by the Duke because of her humility. The maids carefully combed her hair the color of the setting sun. The workers were amazed that the Duchess chose such a modest dress. The woman noticed that nothing symbolized calmness and purity like the color white. The brown-haired woman assured that it is not so fashionable now, but still this dress will suit the lady perfectly. The woman noticed that Scarlett's red hair looked provocative, and asked to make sure that she would always dress like that. Sadness flickered in the sky-blue eyes. The future Duchess announced that her wedding would soon take place and therefore she wanted to go to bed early. Sitting on a soft bed, the girl realized that she could not sleep. She stood up unsteadily and decided to walk along the long corridors. The warm light of candles could be seen from the Duke's room. Joy begged her lover not to leave. The Duke remembered that he had to prepare for the wedding. The blonde asked whether her lover really needed to marry the Baroness. Scarlett stood at the door, eavesdropping on the conversation, and covered her mouth with her hand in horror. The guy reminded his lover that this was just a formality, and it was very important. The blonde reported that she was still angry at Sam for having to spend the next night with his wife. The Duke gently straightened her silky hair, saying that he loved only her and asked her to calm down. Sam assured that his bride meant nothing to him and was only a tool for conception. The guy explained that Scarlett's father sold his daughter when he said that he would make his son a knight. The girl ran away after hearing this. The Baroness, tightly clutching the dagger in her hands, looked at her wedding dress with tears in her eyes. Scarlett tore the luxurious fabric with a slight movement of her dagger. A lot of pearls fell to the floor. She realized that she could no longer live like this in the arms of lies. The maids looked in horror at the wedding dress torn to shreds. The Baroness sat quietly with no emotion on her face. Entering the room, Sam asked what happened. Lowering her head, the brunette said that Madame went out early in the morning to drink water, and when she returned, the dress was already in this condition. The maid asked if it was obvious that Joshua had done it. She recalled that the blonde pretended to be the mistress of the house, but when the Duchess appeared, she did not like this event. Brown asked Madame Moore to provide evidence that this was the work of Joshua. The woman asked the gentleman how long he was going to keep this vile girl near him. Moore explained to the young master that he would soon marry and become the head of the family. Sam stated that the blonde was his lover, and asked the woman not to continue this conversation. The bride sighed heavily and said that the Duke was right, and asked to leave this matter for later. Scarlett explained that if rumors spread that this happened on the eve of the wedding, it could be a disgrace for the Duke. The girl said that she did not want to make a fuss about what happened. The Baroness reminded that in public she and his lordship should look like a happy couple. A smile appeared on the brown-haired man's face. He noticed that his wife listens to him well. Scarlett insisted that despite the fact that she was the daughter of a baron, she learned business norms from her father, who had his own business. The girl said that in exchange for the two things the Duke asked for, she asked to be allowed to do something. The Baroness asked to be allowed to have another man. Biting his lip, the guy asked if his bride wanted a personal life like his, and he agreed to this condition, but issued an ultimatum. Sam said that the bride should not have become pregnant by another man. The guy asked not to ruin their marriage by talking about his personal life in public. Lowering her eyes, Scarlett promised to remember this. The Duke asked the girl what she would do with the torn dress. The girl said that when she bought a wedding dress, there was another one that she liked. The Baroness explained that she took this dress in the hope of wearing it on the occasion of receiving guests. Sam ordered the maids to ensure that this incident did not spread. The guy said that they should be careful so that nothing bad happens on such a happy day. A barely noticeable grin appeared on Scarlett's face. The girl thought that a wedding dress was simply the shortest way to realize her plan. The Baroness was able to secure his favor and her freedom. She had no intention of sitting back and allowing people who treated her like a commodity to take advantage of her. The girl looked at her reflection in the mirror. The maids were delighted with the beauty of Milady's body. Moore asked if the style was too bold for the newly made bride, and asked her to detangle her hair first. The Baroness asked Nora to draw on her eyebrows a little higher, suggesting that it would brighten her face. Scarlett asked that the earrings and necklace be replaced with peridot gemstones, and that her father's tie and her mother's diamond brooch be attached to the bouquet. Nora noticed that Madame looked beautiful. Nodding, the lady called for the girl to follow her. The Baroness stood tenderly pressing against her husband's hand. The lady asked Nora why they were preparing for the reception. The girl explained that initially this was not the plan, but His Highness Kingsley, a member of the imperial family, came to celebrate the wedding. The maid explained that because of this, they prepared everything in a hurry. Moore explained that Kingsley was an old friend of the Duke and they could not send him back. The girl was very tired while preparing for the wedding. Looking at the bride, the Duke said that it was time for them to go. The newlyweds proudly walked down the stairs. Scarlett's luxurious figure was emphasized by a black dress with gold embroidery and a thigh-high slit. Smiling, the brown-haired man noticed that His Highness had already arrived and asked the guests to greet him. The Duke sharply pulled his bride, causing her to hit the girl. The blonde dropped her glass of wine. The Baroness's leg was pierced by sharp shards of glass. The girl said that she needed to go to the room and clean the wounds. The guy carefully asked the bride if she could go. Smiling, Scarlett said that there was nothing complicated about it. She quickly walked into the garden. Despite the fact that her leg was very painful and bleeding, the Baroness could not keep her balance from the hellish pain and almost fell down the stairs. The brunette grabbed her hand and asked if she was okay. Looking at the guy, Scarlett realized that he looked like a nobleman. She assured that everything was fine. The brunette said that she could barely walk and had huge problems with her leg. Turning around, Scarlett assured that she could take care of it herself. The beautiful stranger knelt down and noticed that there were many fragments sticking out of her leg. The guy explained that she couldn't walk and it needed to be removed and treated immediately. Having asked for forgiveness, the brunette took her in his arms. Scarlett was delighted with the strength of the stranger and peered into his deep amethyst eyes. The guy gently sat her down on the bench. Get down on one knee. He gently touched her ankle and warned her that it might be unpleasant. Scarlett carefully watched the brunette's actions. The Duchess muttered through her teeth that it was a little painful for her. The guy carefully treated her wounds with alcohol. Despite the fact that she was given first aid, it was necessary to call a doctor for further treatment. The girl, unable to contain her curiosity, asked who the stranger was and why he carried something like this with him. The brunette explained that the knights always carried a similar first aid kit with them. The girl asked if he was a knight. The countess noticed that the guy had an unusual face for a knight. The brunette asked where Scarlett's room was and said that he would show her. Confused, the girl assured that she could walk on her own. The knight said that she should not resist so much. With her eyes downcast, the Duchess said that she did not want another man to accompany her on her wedding day. Bowing her head, the girl thanked her for the help. Scarlett asked if she could find out his name. After a little hesitation, the guy introduced himself as Edmund Lewis. Bowing, the Duchess promised to certainly repay his kindness. Sam noticed that His Highness drank too much alcohol and reminded him that he was having a wedding and advised him to eat more. Soon the bride entered the hall asking forgiveness for keeping the Duke waiting. With a feigned smile, the brown-haired man met his wife. The guy said that she shouldn't have gone down because he was just about to go upstairs. Scarlett was amazed that he was ready to leave the general fund so quickly. The brown-haired man explained that he could wait no longer and they must seal the agreement. Smiling, Sam informed His Highness that he would go upstairs with his wife. The words that she was simply an instrument for conception were still spinning in the Duchess's head. Scarlett explained that she understood that he wanted to consummate the marriage. The brown-haired woman asked if she really didn't want to do this. The Duke explained that everyone would suspect something was wrong if a married couple did not have their wedding night. Sam explained to his wife that they should be close enough, and he reminded her that this was her duty. Hovering over her, the guy asked if this was her first time. Hesitating a little, the brown-haired man noticed that this was very stupid and was one of the reasons why the village girls irritated him. The Duke said that he would rise first and when she was ready, he could go to the new room. Sam decided to give his wife some time to gather her courage. The girl's silhouette was illuminated by the dim moonlight, emphasizing all her beauty. Scarlett poured herself a glass of wine and drank it in one gulp. The Duchess still could not accept that her husband considered her an instrument for conception. She angrily broke the glass, realizing that she had simply been sold, as if she were a simple commodity. The girl stood up and tried to walk, holding onto the walls. Scarlett had no idea that her wedding night would be so grueling, terrible, and desperate. She did not want to realize her worth, and tears quickly flowed from her sky-blue eyes. The girl sat on the bed with eyes full of despair. Covering her face with her hands, our heroine suddenly jumped up, throwing only a small white shawl over her sexy nightrobe. The Duchess ran up the stairs, trying to forget everything. Soon Scarlett came across the brunette and looked up at him with tear-stained sky-blue eyes. A little confused, the knight asked Milady what had happened. With a slight movement of her hand, she pressed the guy to the door and kissed him passionately. The girl said that she needed a person like him. The Duchess threw off her snow-white shawl without hesitation, and she asked the guy not to ask anything, but to help her again. After hastily dressing, Scarlett thanked the guy for not asking unnecessary questions. Throwing a snow-white cape over herself, the girl headed towards the exit of the room. The brunette just looked after the girl without saying anything. Sam extended his finger to the small canary. He held a glass of wine tightly in his hands. The Duke gently stroked the small bird. Hearing the door open, the guy told the bride that she was late. Scarlett clarified that her preparations were complete. The Duchess realized that she would prefer to simply conceive a child from a man, since she was just a tool for her husband. Sam, squeezing his pet, explained that he was a little tired, but did not want to go to bed just like that. He grabbed the bird roughly by the neck. Soon, bloody feathers scattered across the room, and the helpless body collapsed into the cage. The brown-haired man assumed that this was enough for the first night. The Duke asked his wife to remain in this room while he returned to his beloved Joshua. The girl realized with relief that nothing happened that night. She collapsed exhaustedly on the blood-stained bed. Scarlett involuntarily remembered that night and considered him a good person. After all, he didn't ask her anything. The Duchess realized that she was very lucky to have Louis as her first. The brown-haired woman looked into the water with admiration, wondering if this was a feature of Florisha. The girl was delighted with the transparency of the water. The father asked the little girl to be careful because she could get wet. The man explained that the water was like this because the imperial family purified the water using magic. The father asked Scarlett if she had fulfilled her duty on her wedding night. The girl assured that everything went well. Her face showed no emotion. The man asked his daughter if she had disturbed the Duke. She assured that she was simply doing her duty. The father explained that there was nothing wrong with the capital's aristocrats having a mistress or two. The Baron asked the girl not to irritate Sam with her prejudiced attitude. The girl was taken aback when she learned that her father knew about Joshua's existence. "I'm trying to change the subject." The Duchess said that she was amazed at the Chandler's knowledge. She was delighted that he even knew the secret places in the Duke's residence. Grinning, the brown-haired man said that when the Duke was looking for maids, he introduced the guy to those who had previously worked for him. The father explained that he introduced her because the Duke was pleased with his help and asked permission from him to marry his daughter. The Baron said that Sam was a well-mannered guy and there was nothing to worry about. Scarlett's world was slowly splitting into thousands of small pieces. The girl could not believe that her father, knowing everything, sold her. The Duchess hesitantly asked if she could ask him just one question. Scarlett recalled that since childhood she had never violated his instructions and tried to be the ideal daughter that he wanted to see. With sadness in her sky-blue eyes, the daughter asked whether the man loved her. The Baron noticed that she was still thinking like a child. The brown-haired man reminded her that he fed her, gave her a home and raised her, and she must repay him this debt. Her father explained that he had made her a duchess, and that this was something more than she could achieve on her own. The brown-haired man was sure that now he would be able to return what he had invested in his daughter. The man promised to contact her soon and asked her to take care of the Duke during this time. The brown-haired man quickly got up and left the boat, leaving the girl alone. The butler greeted the lady with a bow. The lady asked Lorenzo how many people among the Duke's employees were recommended by the Chandler family. Hesitating a little, Lorenzo asks the girl why she asked him something like that. The Duchess explained that they were acting as informants to pass on information to the Chandlers. The girl asked whether he knew about this adventure. After a negative response, Scarlett ordered the dismissal of everyone who was recommended by her father. The lady explained that the personnel management at the Duke's residence is a disaster. Bowing, Lorenzo promised to inform the Duke about this. Left alone, my lady remembered the words of her father. The Duchess realized that she no longer wanted to cling to useless hopes. She was furious to learn that she was being used and sold for such trivial reasons. Scarlett never wanted to trust anyone again. The girl decided to no longer be weak in spirit and change something in her life. The blonde noticed that Ed looked very worried. The gentleman recalled that he told him to get closer to Huntington's wife and find out the Duchess's intentions. The blonde, drinking wine, suggested that his knight was obsessed with that girl. Louis explained that the girl continued to sob and tremble slightly, like a person who will fall in a few moments. The brunette told the gentleman that he knew little. The guy was sure that there were problems between Herzog and the Duchess of Huntington. Louis said the Duchess was shocked. Thoughtful, the blonde said that he was interested in this information. A barely noticeable smile appeared on the gentleman's face. The brown-haired man asked his wife why she fired all of Joshua's maids. The girl explained that her dear father knew about the existence of his mistress. Scarlett explained that she had heard that he needed people who could keep their mouths shut. The wife explained to the Duke that her father could easily find the key to those maids. The Duchess explained to the guy that despite her family ties with the Baron, she was a member of his family. Scarlett assured that the honor of the Huntington family was above all else for her. Smiling, the brown-haired man said that he was very glad that he got such a wise wife. Sam hoped that the girl would be a good housewife in the future. The Duke told the girl that there would be an imperial ball that evening. They needed to look like the happiest couple. Smiling, the brown-haired man asked his wife if she could cope with the task. Scarlett asked not to doubt her abilities. The aristocrat smiled and congratulated the newlyweds once again. The guy was amazed that the Duke managed to get such a beauty. Soon someone called out to the Duke. Sam asked the Archduke if he had sobered up. The blonde asked if he had ever been drunk. The guy said that when he left, he simply emptied another bottle. The Archduke assumed that this was their first meeting with the beautiful lady. Bowing, Scarlett explained that I was very pleased to meet the gentleman. The blonde said that last day he noticed that she was incredibly beautiful. Sam asked his old friend not to be jealous. The Duke recalled that his friend himself said that it was better not to delay the wedding. The brown-haired man asked why he had not yet found a bride. The guy gently kissed his wife on the forehead. Scarlett could not understand why her husband was especially trying to portray a loving husband in front of this man. The Duchess decided to simply play along with him. She pretended to be embarrassed and said that people were looking at them. The blonde noticed that it was getting a little hot. Extending his hand, the Archduke asked not to consider this as rudeness and invited Milady to dance. Sam asked if the guy was going to seduce his wife. The blonde said that he would tell his fiancée how Sam fell from a ferry as a child and almost drowned. The guy asked his wife not to listen to his friend. It seemed to Scarlet that she needed to be extremely careful. The Duchess realized that they had been childhood friends and could not understand the reason. The banquet hall was filled with light live music. Smiling, the blonde asked Milady if she had ever been to Florisha's canal. The guy explained that this was their main attraction. The Duchess said that her parents came yesterday and appreciated the local beauty. The blonde said that he heard that her father ran a nightly order. The guy admitted that he was especially interested in the Baron's opinion. The girl grinned and said that her father believed that the canal was indeed amazingly beautiful, and that thanks to the Emperor that place had become magnificent. Scarlet explained that her father said that the old ferry needed repairs. The girl assured that if the ferry was updated, Florisha would become even more beautiful. The blonde asked the Duchess to tell us more about it and explain how it can be restored. Someone announced the arrival of His Highness the Emperor. The aristocrats politely bowed their heads, surprised that he decided to honor them with his presence. Someone in the crowd said that he had to miss a point due to illness. The guests assumed that he personally decided to greet Archduke Kingsley, who came to the capital. The guy, moving away from Scarlet, said that he wanted to continue the conversation later. Bowing, the blonde informed Milady that if she had such a desire, she could inform his attendant. The Archduke pointed his finger in the direction of the brunette. The girl's face quickly turned pale because she recognized the guy she had spent the previous night with in the security guard. Smiling, the blonde said that he would wait for this moment. Turning around, Scarlet decided to go out onto the balcony. She realized that she could not hesitate. The girl understood that she should no longer care about what happened between her and Louis. The Duchess tried to put aside unnecessary feelings. She tried to focus on the relationship between her husband and the Archduke. The girl realized that Sam was clearly hiding something from the guy. Despite the fact that Scarlet won her husband's trust, she could not allow him to make her his puppet. The Duchess planned to find out her husband's weaknesses and turn them to her advantage. The girl realized that, as the rightful heir to the throne, Kingsley had enormous influence, and the current emperor was too weak to curb his son. She realized that soon the blonde would become the next ruler, and what if she destroyed their connection with the Duke? Scarlet hoped that she would be able to gain independence. Noticing the brunette, who also went out onto the balcony, the Duchess asked what was the matter. She tried her best to remain calm. The brunette said that it seemed to him that she was not feeling well. Louis explained that even though it was rude, he followed her. The girl continued to control herself and be strong. The Duchess thanked the knight for treating her wound on her wedding day. She promised to definitely thank his family on behalf of the Huntington family. Louis assured that there was no need for this. Scarlet assumed that he was worried that she might get hurt again, and that's why he came. She was amazed at his generosity. Having straightened her luxurious hair, the Duchess said that thanks to him she had a wonderful time. The girl clarified whether it was true that in the capital, a girl and a guy could retire immediately after meeting. She explained that not a single man can resist a woman's tears. Coming out of the balcony, Scarlet said that such a man did not interest her. She asked the brunette to give something to her master. The girl said that she wanted to meet the Archduke in a quiet place without her husband. The darkened knight said that he would let her know when he was free. The sun rose from the horizon, painting the endless expanses of forests golden. The carriage drove slowly along the road. The measured clatter of horse hooves could be heard. Looking at the bride, the Duke asked what she was talking about with Kingsley. The girl assured that there was nothing special in their conversation. Scarlet explained that she had talked to him about a trip to the canal with her father. The brown-haired man asked his wife whether she had spoken to the guy about anything necessary. The Duchess assumed that Sam was talking about Joshua. She said that she did not spill the beans. The guy said that she should be more careful in front of other people, but in front of the Duke she needs to be doubly vigilant. A little taken aback, Scarlet explained to her husband that she had heard that they were best friends. The girl clarified why he could not tell him about the existence of his mistress. Sam asked his wife not to try to understand all the details and just do what was in her competence. Bowing her head, the Duchess asked for forgiveness. The girl guessed that her husband did not want to reveal the existence of Joshua to his friend. She realized that Sam decided to marry the daughter of a poor baron as a diversion. Scarlet realized that if she found out the reason, she could get into her sleeve a weak point that could break her husband. The maid helped the lady out of the carriage. Entering the estate, the Duke asked what was the reason for the fuss. With tears in her eyes, Joshua begged her lover to say something to the servants. The blonde rushed into the Duke's arms a few moments later. Moore explained that the impudent girl tried to stage a strike, saying that she wanted to meet with the hostess. The Duchess assumed that they were talking about her. Sobbing into the shoulder of the brown-haired Joshua, she said that she was incredibly glad that Scarlett had come. The girl assumed that her rival kicked out all her maids because she was jealous. The blonde assumed that she decided to mock her. The head maid reported that they were fired after a report that they were spies on high-ranking officials. The mistress said that Scarlett installed her maids because she didn't like that she took all of Sam for herself. Sobbing on her lover's shoulder, the blonde told him that she was very upset. Joshua reminded her that it was not she who ruined the wedding dress. The girl assured that her rival had made it all up and set her up. Looking at his beloved with a contemptuous look, the brown-haired man recalled that he told her not to go out without his permission. The Duke asked if she remembered what would happen if she broke the rules. With a trembling voice, the blonde realized that she would be punished. Sam said that she was banned from entering his room for 3 days. The guy ordered Madame Moore to take the girl back. The woman obediently fulfilled the master's instructions. Scarlett noticed that Hillington's relationship with Joshua was very strange for a lover. The Duke sighed heavily and asked his wife for forgiveness that she happened to see this. Sam told the girl something she did excellently at the banquet. The guy grinned and said that she was much smarter than he expected. The Duchess, embarrassed, said that he was exaggerating. The brown-haired man promised his wife to transfer to her all the rights and responsibilities of the mistress of the duchy that Madame Moore performed. The guy asked to try to look after his mistress so that there would be no bedlam in this estate. With her hand on her heart, Scarlett promised to do everything she could. Sitting at the table, the girl asked if the mistress of the estate was doing this. Madame Moore said that the gentleman was dragging out the wedding for a long time, and therefore she was responsible for it. The woman was delighted that the gentleman came to his senses and found such a beautiful wife. Moore explained that all the time a low-born man was encroaching on her place. The girl asked if Joshua was of low birth. Moore reported that she was the daughter of a peasant from the village and even the name of her father was unknown. The woman explained that the blonde lost her mother at the age of 6 and became an orphan. She explained that the gentleman could not turn away and brought her to the estate. Madame said that at some point the blonde began to wag her tail in front of the master and just recently reached his bed. The Duchess clarified whether the girl could leave the estate without the Duke's permission. Moore said that she did not leave the building because if a low-born girl wanders around and brags about her relationship with the master, the name of the ducal family will be tarnished. Scarlett asked since when her mistress lived locked up. The woman explained that when the baby arrived at the estate, she was too weak to leave, but as she grew up, the master forbade it. The Duchess clarified how old the blonde is. The woman explained that she was also 20 years old, but unlike her mistress, she did not shine with intelligence. Scarlett suspected something was wrong because she was an orphan whom he brought many years ago. The girl realized that even if it happened out of pity then, at the moment he treated her like a toy. The Duchess realized that for her husband's mistress, this house was like a giant cage. The girl guessed that her husband was trying to hide with a fictitious marriage. Scarlett guessed that most likely he didn't want Kingsley to find out about her, despite the fact that he was a close friend and a member of the imperial family. "Get up from your chair," and the hostess said that she wanted to meet with Joshua. The girl was sitting in an empty room between many soft toys, holding 2 dolls in her hands. She imagined that it was her next to her lover. Tears slowly flowed from the blonde's eyes. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Joshua asked if Sam had come to console her. Noticing the mistress, the blonde asked if she had come to mock her. The girl reminded the Duchess that she kicked out all her servants. Joshua was reminded by her rival that she told Sam all sorts of lies and made her look bad. The blonde angrily threw the dolls at the guest. The girl burst into tears and said that she didn't care, because she was the Duke's favorite. She assured that even if the lady becomes pregnant, it does not matter. Scarlett was a little taken aback when she realized that her opponent was this frightened child, who like a toy was in Sam's hands. The Duchess asked the girl if she wanted to go outside the building. Joy asked what she was talking about. The night guest explained that her husband gave her the authority to manage the dukedom estate, including the blonde. Scarlett said that if she uses her powers, she will help her get out without Sam finding out about it. The girl realized that the blonde might one day be useful to her. The Duchess hoped that Joy would be able to understand that she was deceived under the pretext of love. The blonde assumed that she wanted to get her into trouble again. The girl was sure that when she went outside, her rival would tell Sam everything, and he would scold her. Joshua assured that she would not break her lover's rules because she was a good girl. She turned away and pretended not to notice Scarlett's presence. The girl realized that her husband's mistress was very similar to her in childhood. The Duchess believed that if she was nice and not annoying and behaved perfectly, she would receive love in return. Scarlet asked the blonde if she considered her enemy. The girl recalled that, as she said, she was simply a tool. Heading towards the exit, the Duchess asked the girl to think carefully about who she should consider her enemy. The brown-haired woman was discussing with her friend that the Duke of Huntington was head over heels in love with his wife. The girl said that there was nothing surprising in this. Newlyweds appeared everywhere. Scarlet realized that from that day on her husband had not shown any interest in her. The girl reassured herself that this was natural because she was his fictitious wife. She was grateful to Sam that he did not show attention to her. The Duchess understood that there was no need to reveal this. Smiling, Scarlet explained that she was grateful for the opportunity to serve a kind man as a wife. The blonde was amazed that she met such an innocent girl like that. The girl said that she could not even imagine that Samuel could fall in love with such a short person. The brown-haired girl noticed that Scarlet was not at all like the girls before. The girl explained that the Duke was the guy who charmed many women. The brunette was sure that such a man knew exactly how to entertain his wife. The girl suggested that the men who managed to have fun quite well in bed. Scarlet realized that if she had heard such a conversation in the past, she would have been very upset and would not have known what to do. The girl was grateful to the teachers whom the Duke sent before the wedding. They taught the future Duchess how to behave correctly in high society. Smiling, Scarlet said that the Duke was the one who was faithful to her day and night. Merlin said that she would like to know more about this. The brunette asked whether the Duke satisfied his wife last night. Smiling, the girl asked not to misunderstand her. Merlin explained that she could introduce the Duchess to several men who could be used as lovers. The brown-haired woman told Tankerville that the Duchess was completely at a loss. Laughing, the blonde suggested that the Duchess was not yet accustomed to the customs of the capital. The girl explained that in the capital it is not bad to tell that a married woman has 2 or 3 lovers. The brown-haired woman explained that men behaved this way. There was no point in putting up with it for a woman. The girl explained that Lady Tanquil, who was present at this tea party, was the Emperor's mistress. The brown-haired woman explained that His Highness in his youth was famous for his insatiability, but he stopped looking at other ladies after meeting Marilyn. The Duchess realized why her husband did not pay much attention to her personal life. The brunette explained that such a great man as the Emperor has as much popularity as a charming young man. Merlin cited the example of George Kingsley, who came to the capital this time. The girls began to discuss with emotion the Archduke, who had managed to mature. The brunette asked Scarlet what kind of men she preferred. The girls began to talk about their preferences. The Duchess assured that a man who would look like her husband would be the ideal type. The brunette said that the newlyweds could be like that. The girl tired of asking her friends to leave behind the newly made Duchess. The brunette said that Sir Boken would soon get married. The girl supported Merlin by saying that Madame Amaryllis was looking for a special idea for her son's wedding. After tea, the Duchess, tired, lay down in a hot bath with rose petals. The girl felt incredibly tired. Scarlet realized that her husband had fun with many women besides Joshua. She realized that due to the fact that the blonde was cut off from the outside world, she could not know anything about this. The Duchess was not surprised when she realized that her husband did not love his mistress one bit. Scarlet suggested that the Duke needed a toy that he could easily keep just for himself. The girl assumed that such an intense sex life was also to take her eyes off Joshua. The maids quickly helped the lady put on a warm robe. The brown-haired woman told the lady something and a letter arrived. Scarlet didn't know what event she was invited to. It seemed to the girls that in order to manage everything, she would have to be torn in 2. The Duchess opened the letter from Louis with interest. The brunette told her that he had reserved the bed for only the 2 of them. The girl realized that this was an invitation to watch an opera together in a private box. I realized that this was like a date. Scarlet remembered the words of the ladies from high society. I realized that I, too, was a lady of the capital. The Duchess realized that I was not going to say then that she would have 2 lovers. Smiling, the lady asked the worker to bring her a dress and jewelry. Scarlet applied a few drops of fragrant perfume to her neck. She wasn't particularly interested in lovers or love, but she was interested in what she could get from a guy. Scarlet stepped out of the carriage in a luxurious red outfit. There were luxurious black butterflies on her chest and hat, which emphasized her luxurious fiery hair color. Bowing, the butler greeted the lady, saying that he had been warned in advance. Opening the door slightly, the man asked to follow him. The employee told the gentleman that he had brought a girl. Smiling, the Archduke asked to let her in. Grinning, the blonde noticed that Madame was even more beautiful that day than usual. Trying not to pay attention to the knight, the girl said that she was glad to meet him again. A beautiful girl in a dragon costume promised that she would avenge her child with their blood. The actress told the knights to prepare for war and sharpen their swords in honor of the bloody feast and anticipation of the end of the world. Scarlet looked at the stage without much interest. The blonde said that he fell in love with her ruby-red eyes. The dragon asked why the man found a place in her heart. The girl said that she could not refuse this temptation despite the humiliation, that her heart was filled with happiness. At the end of the performance, the actors kissed passionately. Smiling, George asked the girl if she liked to talk about love. The Duchess responded negatively, saying that a very beautiful story had been played on stage. The blonde explained that this story is dedicated to the red dragon who gave magic to the first emperor. The Archduke asked his companion whether she thought the performance was wonderful. The girl asked what he was talking about. The blonde explained that the dragoness had come to avenge her child on the people. George noticed that this meant that this beautiful dragon had already made love to another male. The Duke explained that the dragoness was already in love with another man. Smiling, Scarlet suggested that she liked the golden eyes and hair like the Archduke. Smiling, the guy noticed that the red dragon's hair would be as beautiful as Madame's. The blonde gently straightened her fiery red silky hair. The Archduke asked Edmund to wait. Having bowed, the knight headed towards the exit. After the door slammed, the blonde told Scarlet that now it was just the two of them. George recalled that the girl wanted to meet her husband in a private place somewhere. Grinning, the Duchess explained that she was curious about what her husband's close friend was like. Having lowered his eyes, the blonde said that he thought that he could trust him all his life until he met her. Scarlet realized that the guy was speaking in the past tense. The guy passionately kissed his companion. The Duchess realized that the guys had a rather interesting relationship. The girl was amazed that one pretended to be on good terms with his wife in front of the other. And he seduced the wife of a former friend. Scarlet decided to go with the flow first. She wanted to find out the reason for the betrayal of a friend whom he could even trust with his life. The Duchess assumed that the blonde fell in love with her at first sight. The girl realized that he did not look like he had gone crazy with love. George asked my lady if she was so disgusted by his kisses that she was thinking about someone else. The girl explained that she remembered the story about the boat that the Archduke wanted to tell her. He grinned and explained that an old boat used to float along the canal. Scarlet reminded him that he wanted to hear how it could be improved. The Duke was a little surprised when he realized that the girl wanted to talk about business in such a beautiful place. The blonde grinned and said that you really looked very much like a merchant's daughter. The girl, realizing her mistake, said that it was just right to talk about business in this place and suggested setting up another meeting. Leaning over her ear, the blonde promised to find a quieter place next time so they could concentrate on kissing. Louis asked the gentleman if they liked the performance. The knight asked Milady if he should accompany her. Gently touching the blonde's chest, the Duchess said that she would wait for news from him. Grinning, the Archduke asked to call him by his name next time. The girl asked him to simply call her Scarlet. Turning around, she walked quickly and disappeared around one of the many turns. The guy said that he considered the Duchess innocent, who came from a poor village only because she was obedient. George was amazed that he was wrong. The Archduke was quite interested in her personality. When Scarlet entered the house, the maids bowed and took her cape and hat. Madame Moore informed Milady that Sam was already waiting for her and asked her to follow her. The girl hesitantly walked into her husband's room. The brown-haired man peered carefully into the night twilight. The Duchess said that she heard that he was looking for her. Looking back at his wife, Sam asked who she was spending time with. Scarlet explained that they were only watching the opera with the ladies, and the time had already become so late. The brown-haired man asked again about the opera. The wife explained to the guy that this entertainment is very popular in the capital. The Duke suggested that she had performed her role well before the ladies. Having lowered a glass of wine onto the table, Sam informed her that he had called her to fulfill his marital duty. Goosebumps ran through the girl's body as she realized that the guy was talking about making love. The Duke asked whether she had a stable menstruation. In a voice trembling with excitement, the girl confirmed his words. Scarlet remembered the phrase she heard on the first night after the wedding. The guy said that he heard from the Baron that she had no experience in conceiving and weaning a child, and he decided to ask again if she had children. The Duchess said that he was right. The brown-haired man decided to send her the next day to the doctor to check her health. The guy explained that from the outside she looked healthy, but it was better to be safe. After adding a little more wine to his glass, Sam said that she could be leaving there. After permission, she quickly ran out of the room. Putting the instrument on a special tray, the man asked whether she had begun to eat less lately. The doctor suggested that she did not have enough nutrients in her body. Lowering her eyes, Scarlett said that she didn't feel well. The brown-haired woman said that if she wants to give birth to a healthy child, then she must have enough nutrients. The health worker advised her to eat well. Bowing her head, the Duchess promised to try. The man said that first he would prescribe her some herbs to supplement her diet. The brown-haired man assured that they had a good effect if she took them as tea. The doctor said that she should abstain from sex for a while and asked her to convey this to the Duke. Rising from the sofa, the doctor asked her to rest well and promised to give her herbs through the maids. Soon the man got up from the sofa, collected his tools in a suitcase and left the room. The girl realized that she was now safe. The Duchess remembered that she ate little due to stress and was glad that this led to such an effect. She decided to continue fasting and thus buy herself enough time. Scarlett realized that yesterday she made an excellent decision by starting a relationship with the Archduke. She hoped to get out of this marriage by any means possible before she became pregnant with Sam's child. The Duchess planned to find out the guy's weakness and threaten him in order to get a divorce. The girl was afraid that her husband and father would not leave her alone even in such a situation. Scarlett planned to create the basis for living quietly alone, because if she gets divorced without doing this, she will eventually return to the same thing. The girl wondered how she could get her own funds. Smiling, the woman thanked the lady for visiting the charity shop on the outskirts of Mead. The blonde said that all the proceeds from this store go to help orphans. In one of the shop windows, the Duchess spotted a luxurious set with aquamarine. When the girl reached out to the small box, she ran into another contender for this little thing. The brown-haired woman smiled and asked if Lady Huntington liked this set. Scarlett said that she was ready to give up the jewelry to Lady Westmouth. The brown-haired woman, smiling, assured that the Duchess should not do this, because the jewelry would be more suitable for her than for her. The girl assured that the earrings with aquamarine just caught her eye, and she had no intention of buying them. Smiling, Lady Westmouth assured that in this case she would buy them as a gift in honor of her wedding with the Duke. Scarlett said that she would only accept her good intentions with gratitude. The brown-haired woman said that the Duchess should not refuse because she really thought that the jewelry would be very suitable for her. The girl, covering her face with a fan, assured that the Duchess gave the earrings to Milady with good intentions and asked not to refuse. The Duchess explained that she thought that everyone in the capital had common sense and assumed that she was mistaken. The girl explained that if she had been in her right mind, she would not have chosen aquamarine as a wedding gift. Scarlett said that aquamarine was given with the wish for smooth sailing, and it protects sailors from storms. The Duchess said that good sailing requires wind, and therefore it is not given as a wedding gift. The girl suggested that she was sure that a girl from the outback would not have such deep knowledge. Scarlett assumed that the aristocrat herself did not know about this. Trying to calm the booth, Marilyn clapped her hands. The brunette said something to Lady Westmouth but simply forgot. Lowering her head, the girl said that of course she had just forgotten. The Emperor's mistress was sure that the Duchess reminded her, and therefore she would not forget it again. Marilyn said that she wanted to take the earrings for herself. The brown-haired man called out to the beauty and said that he would buy them for her. Let's straighten her luxurious raven feather hair. The girl thanked Sir Lanster. Marilyn said that she loved the wind. The brunette asked not to listen to the envious people, because they were indignant that she took such a popular duke for herself. The Duchess would gladly give the guy to her so that she could live with him in the same house. Marilyn asked if they had heard the news. The girl grinned and said that the merchant Dismont had hired a new shipbuilder. She assumed that they were going to rebuild the boats for the canal. The brunette said that the shipbuilder came from Pandel. Marilyn explained that the state is surrounded on all sides by the sea, so this business is very developed there. The Duchess asked what the shape of the ships would be. The girl assured that it would be great if the boats had a canopy. The brunette said it would be great to go on a secret date on a canal boat. Merlin explained that the merchant was looking for investors, since building boats was not a cheap pleasure. Several delicate pink petals flew over the water and slowly fell onto it. Scarlett stood on the bridge peering into the azure water. The girl saw many wooden boats with luxurious lining. The Duchess realized that if the business was successful, there would be no problems with money. I was distracted from my thoughts by someone calling out to her from behind. Turning around, Scarlett saw the brunette and was a little taken aback by such an unexpected meeting. The guy said that he was going to send her a letter, but they happened to meet in this place. The Duchess was a little taken aback why he decided to write her a letter. She assumed that the guy wanted to talk about that night. Scarlett said that they were not in such a relationship and asked why he should send a letter. The brunette sighed heavily and explained that this letter was from the Archduke. Confused with the girl, she asked me to give her the letter. The knight asked if she had come to this bridge to admire the shipping canal. Louis reported that after sunset the wind in this area became very cold. The guy noticed that she could freeze in such clothes. Peering into the water, Scarlett said that she could take care of herself and asked not to worry. The knight grinned and asked if he was forbidden to worry. The girl clarified why he should worry about her. The Duchess suggested that he was very intrusive with the girl with whom he spent the night. Scarlett reminded Louis that she had met his master. The girl explained that it would be unreasonable on his part if he had feelings for her. The brunette asked the Duchess why she was crying. The guy noticed that he did not shed a single tear in front of the Archduke. Louis asked why that night she cried continuously, as if she had been hugged for the first time. Averting her eyes, Scarlett suggested that he liked unkempt and naive girls. The knight was sure that the girl really had no experience, just like him. The brunette explained that, unlike the gentleman, he had not dated many women. Louis reported that he could easily distinguish real innocence from feigned innocence. The girl asked the knight what he wanted to say. Louis said that she had no right to make a mistake, because if she was sincere with the Archduke, then he would have no problem getting close to her. The knight handed Scarlett a letter. Snatching the paper, the girl said that he didn't have to worry about her and assured that without bowing at all, Louis wished her a good journey and quickly left, getting lost in the endless streets. She looked at the guy and then opened the letter. George said that on Saturday at 8 in the evening he would send her a card. Scarlett realized that the guy was approaching her with obscene intentions. The girl realized that she needed him because of the power he had. The Duchess realized that she could not get privileges for free and had to give him something in return. Scarlett planned to get ready before meeting the blonde again. The man greeted Miss Huntington. The brunette announced his name. He explained that he was the head of the upper-class Desmond, and thanked him for the visit. Scarlett said that she was pleased to meet Sir Puccini. The girl said that she heard that he came from Pondel, but he spoke their language perfectly. Grinning, the man explained that knowledge of languages was the most important thing in the field of trade. The foreigner will clarify whether she is interested in their project. Puccini clarified whether she was going to become their investor. The Duchess explained that she was going to decide after she saw the design. The man said that he had not yet been confirmed, and in order for them to create a design, they needed to prepare capital. She clarified whether she thought that having a ready-made drawing plan would make it much easier to find investors. A little confused, the man said that they were still at the stage of developing ideas. Scarlett said that she would like to offer him an idea. A little confused, the foreigner asked again. The girl asked if he was ready to listen to her. Looking at the drawings, the man assured that if successful, this project would be successful. Puccini explained that to start work they needed startup capital, and would need permission from the owner of the canal, Princess Amaryllis. With sparkling eyes, the brunette asked if she could invest in this project. Scarlett realized that if they use Samuel's assets, there is a big risk that he will take all the income from this business for himself. The Duchess longed for this business to belong to her. The girl grinned and said that if he starts the project, she will find investors herself. Scarlett clarified how much time it would take for the drawings and plan. Thoughtful, the man said that he could start tomorrow. The foreigner asked what they should do with the princess's permission. Smiling, Scarlett asked the man to give it to her and said that she had one idea. Joy turned away from her lover, saying that he did not even support her or visit her. The Duke asked his mistress what she was talking about. The guy reminded the blonde that he came to her with flowers and asked if she would accept this gift. Gently touching the petals, Joy asked where he got them. Sam explained that such beautiful flowers grew around the canal, and he assured that while thinking about her, he plucked several. Looking at the velvety petals of the bouquet, the blonde asked whether there were flowers growing there and admired their beauty. With sadness in her amber eyes, the mistress told the Duke that she also wanted to go to the canal and look at the flowers. The guy sternly reminded her that he had already said that it was dangerous to go outside. The Duke asked if she knew how many dangerous people lived there. Gently kissing her forehead, the brown-haired man asked what he should do if his dear treasure was harmed. Joy remembered the words of the girl from her daydream, thinking about going outside. The foreigner promised the Duchess that he would contact her as soon as possible. The man shook Scarlett's hand. Smiling, the girl said that she would like this project to be successful and hoped for it. Puccini reported that her smile reminded him of a person he knew. The foreigner asked what her maiden name was. After he heard the answer, he explained that she was very similar to his old friend. The girl clarified whether his friend was from Pandel. Puccini explained that with great regret he left this world. Lowering her eyes, the Duchess asked to accept her condolences. The brunette was sure that his old friend would bless this project. The man was confident that they would succeed. Scarlett clarified whether his feeling as a merchant told him this. The foreigner grinned and said that he had never made a mistake. Heading towards the exit, the girl said that she would be looking forward to news from him. The brunette realized that if he was not mistaken, the prophecy would come true. Raising her daughter in her arms, the woman assured that this child would rule the Thebes channels. The girl walked around the city with a small suitcase and looked at various signs. Soon Scarlett noticed a carriage in which the brunette was sitting. Soon, Louis jumped off the carriage and opened the door for the lady to lend a helping hand. Having looked at the knight, the Duchess realized that if she did not accept help, it would look strange. After she entered the carriage, she received a compliment from the Archduke. Smiling, the girl said that she was glad to meet him again. The gentleman smiled and ordered us to hit the road. The black horses quickly set off, dragging a luxurious silver carriage behind them. Opening her face, the girl thanked him for contacting her. George told the Duchess that he had something for her. The blonde took out a small box. She looked with admiration at the set of aquamarine jewelry. The guy said that he wanted to give them as a wedding gift. The Archduke recalled that Lady Westmouth teased her with aquamarine, but on the contrary, she humiliated herself. George said that the brown-haired woman despised the girl. Consider her a hillbilly, and she herself paid for it. The blonde noticed that my lady looked great. Scarlett was amazed that such petty rumors reached the Archduke. The guy recalled that he asked to call him by name. He couldn't understand why. Despite the fact that they were dating, she was so cold towards him. George asked to wear the necklace every time he saw him in secret from Samuel. Having hit him on the hand, the girl clarified whether she wanted her to wear this cheap thing every time she saw him. Scarlett noticed that the master had put a lot of effort into the decoration, but the quality of the gemstone was still poor. The girl explained that such a design would only be suitable for prostitutes. The Duchess said that she did not think that he was a miser who gives such gifts. Laughing, the blonde suggested that he had screwed up badly. He easily threw the jewelry out the window. George realized that he had done something wrong and asked for forgiveness. The Archduke asked if she wanted to go with him to a jewelry store as an apology, and promised to choose a gift of the highest quality for her. Lowering her head, Scarlett said that she had no such desire. The guy suggested that he had greatly upset her and asked how he could cheer her up. He gently touched her cheek and suggested that he could cheer her up with a hot kiss. Scarlett pushed him away slightly, refusing. The girl explained that instead of jewelry, she would like to receive something else. The blonde grinned and asked whether what she wanted was more than jewelry. Surprised, the guy clarified what the thing she wanted was. Scarlett explained that she did not want to receive the jewelry as a gift, but that she had enough money and influence to be able to buy it herself. The Archduke assumed that Samuel did not give her money for expenses. The Duchess said that her husband had transferred privileges to her. The girl explained that she wanted to run her own business and was not connected with her husband's property. The blonde asked again in surprise. Scarlett explained that the power transferred to her by her husband could easily be taken away, but the money and influence that she would earn on her own would not go away. The blonde explained that he had heard that she had a good relationship with her husband. George suggested that she was afraid that the Duke's love for her would cool down. The girl calmly said that his love can be strong, but a man's love can change at any moment. She explained that the money in her hands would never change. The Duchess explained that instead of a man who would buy her jewelry, she would prefer to have money with which she could buy it for herself. Grinning, Joe wanted to listen. George asked my lady what her business plan was. After Puccini met with her, the girl met with a shipbuilder. The Duchess discussed and talked with them a little. She realized that all she had to do was convince the blonde. Having opened a small suitcase, Scarlett explained that the name of this boat is gondola. The girl said that from the ancient language it was translated as swaying. The Duchess showed a small model and said, including the boatman, it could accommodate up to 6 people. The business lady explained that this is why the guy's boat will be steered with a long oar. unlike operating boats. Taking its design in hand, the guy noticed that this was a boat with a new shape, and he had never seen this design anywhere before. The Duchess explained that the gondola had a rather low bottom, but its walls were quite high. The girl explained that because of this, the likelihood that water will get inside and wet the clothes is extremely small. The Duchess explained that due to its sleek shape, it had great maneuverability for the Florida Canal, where it was often necessary to sail through narrow places. Looking thoughtfully at his beloved, the blonde said that each boat has its own structure. Scarlett explained that at the moment most of the passengers on the canal boats were members of the nobility or tourists who had a lot of money. Taking the model in her hands, the Duchess said that they had made several designs that suit the characteristics of the passenger. The girl was sure that the two gondola options would appeal to local aristocrats. Scarlett leaned towards the guy and said that he was from Florida. Laughing, the Archduke said that he could already hear the capital's men and women rushing to the canal. The girl explained that she was going to assign each boat its own price. She explained that the gondola on which you can go on a secret date will be the most expensive. George noticed that the capital's aristocracy, like tourists, would soon lose interest after riding several times out of curiosity. The business lady said that because of this she had already come up with entertainment. She explained that after seeing the opera last time, she became interested. The girls shared her knowledge that as opera became popular in the capital, many aspired to become vocalists and enroll in a music school. Scarlett said that among the vocalists there are many young people who suffer from the hardships of life because they could not find a job. The Duchess invited her companion to imagine a young rower singing a beautiful song while the passengers enjoyed the scenery of the canal. The business lady suggested changing the boatman's song every season, and those who use the gondola will return to hear the new song. The girl was sure that if I became a person and gained popularity with the help of a boat, I would be able to get a place in the theater. She was sure that the vocalists themselves would come to become gondoliers. Scarlett said that they would hold auditions and select capable singers. Looking at her, the Archduke said that this was a good plan. The guy explained that he said this not just because she was pleased to hear it, but in truth he considered it a good plan. George clarified whether all active boats will be removed. The Duchess informed you that you will be used at night and at dawn for people who want to get from one place to another. The girl assured that in return the price would be lower, and therefore the dissatisfaction of passengers would be less. Thoughtful, the blonde said that this sounds like a good offer. George noted that it would also be suitable for Florida's canals as a typical tourist destination. The Duchess said that the channels showing the greatness of the imperial family will forever remain in the memory of tourists. The girl said that Princess Amaryllis also approved of this project. Laughing, the Archduke noticed that his beloved spoke as if she were a business snake. The guy said that the channel belonged to Amaryllis's sister. George noticed that it sounded more convincing when she said it herself, rather than him. The blonde promised to arrange a place for her in the near future. Smiling, Scarlett said that she needed something else. The guy assumed that she was talking about money and suggested that she would need a large initial capital. The Duchess asked if he was ready to invest in this project. Turning away, the girl said that if he was not interested, she would find another investor. She explained that Puccini said that it would not be difficult to find an investor for this project. The blonde assured that few people would be able to invest such a large amount as he did. Smiling, Scarlett explained that that was why she came to him in the first place. Thoughtful, the blonde asked what she was ready to offer him in return. The Duchess assured that a certain part of the business's income would go to him. The girl said that she had something that she could give him besides money. She explained that she was going to break the deal with her father and carry out all transactions through the merchant Dismont. The girl explained that the merchant transported through the port of Kingsley, and accordingly paid a certain amount of tax to the Archduke. The Duchess recalled that the scale of the capital is quite small due to competition. She assured that soon, thanks to this business, he would be able to dominate the capital. Scarlett assured that if they manage to do this, the scale of imports and exports will increase, and the tax will increase significantly. The guy said that he had enough money and wanted to get something else. Kissing her tenderly, George said that he wanted to monopolize her heart. The girl reminded that she came to show a business plan and receive investments and not to sell her body. The blonde explained that he wanted to become the most desired and beloved person for her, even in comparison with Samuel. The girl wondered if he was speaking sincerely. Scarlett realized that the Archduke did not look like a person who was ready to suffer losses because of love. The Duchess asked what would happen if she changed her mind after receiving the money. George asked if he looked so unattractive that she would immediately cool down. The girl explained that she had studied business ethics and was not going to sell things that could be easily changed. The Archduke assumed that he would have to work hard to win her. Scarlett explained that if he was not going to invest, then she would go. The blonde was amazed at how cold her heart was. The guy sighed heavily and realized that they would have to start a relationship as business partners. George explained that before deciding on the amount to invest, he would like to give her the blonde, and explained that his pride would be too much hurt if he did not give her the jewelry that she deserved. The guy ordered Edmund to go to Rosella. The Archduke explained that one cannot enter this jewelry store without an invitation. The guy said that even in the capital, few people are able to get to this place. George explained that having money did not mean that she could buy any jewelry there. The blonde reminded that social status, unlike money, will help you buy anything. The guy assured that as an apology for his recent mistake, he would buy her whatever she wanted. The Duchess noticed a gold ring with a flower-shaped frame. This decoration reminded her of the carefree years of childhood. The blonde asked if the girl liked it. Scarlett realized that her companion intended to bring her to this place before deciding how much to invest. The girl realized that he was trying to test her insight in order to decide what would be the appropriate amount for investment. The Duchess began to choose more carefully and wondered what could increase her value. Looking at the diamond necklace, Scarlett said that she really liked it. Bowing, the worker assumed that she recognized this decoration and noticed that her eyes were trained. The man explained that during the heyday of the Empire, Empress Andrea herself wore this necklace. The employee explained that it was handmade and contained the finest gemstones in the store. Confused, the blonde told the girl that it was too expensive for a gift to some business partner. Turning to him, the Duchess clarified what he thought would be suitable as a gift. Scarlett recalled that she was even ready to break ties with her family in order to offer him a profitable project. The girl said that if he continues to treat her like a cheap trader, then she will not do business with Dismont's trading group. The Duchess explained that his trading group would develop and displace its competitor from the capital. Scarlett reminded the Archduke that they would have to return to the estate next year. She explained that he would no longer have the opportunity to increase his influence in the capital. Laughing, George suggested that he had been disappointing her all day. The blonde waved his hand and assured him that this was not what he meant. The guy said that he was ready to buy a necklace and asked that a check be sent to his residence. Bowing, the worker handed over the jewel. The guy said that he was very sorry to give such a luxurious gift for a business partner, but for his beloved it was just right. The blonde smiled and hoped that she would forgive all his mistakes. The guy hoped that receiving such a valuable gift would lift her spirits. George hoped that he would have a chance to win her. The girl coldly said that she was ready to think about it. The blonde promised that at the next meeting they would sign an official agreement. Scarlett reminded that permission must first be obtained from the princess. Grinning, the girl said that she sincerely hoped for him. Sighing heavily, the Duke noticed that his beloved became more and more charming with each meeting. George realized that it could be useful for him. The guy noticed that she was doing well. The blonde couldn't believe that he agreed to become her partner. He was amazed that Scarlett was smart and independent enough to plan ahead. The blonde hoped that everything would go smoothly, and he would be able to keep Samuel under his control. Peering into the azure waters of the canal, Louis realized that the girl had lost a lot of weight since her last meeting. The brunette realized that she didn't take a single piece when she was with his master. After returning home, the Duchess sat down tiredly on the sofa. The maid asked the mistress if she should cook dinner. Taking off her luxurious earrings, Scarlett assured that she was not hungry. The girl realized that if she expanded the business with the help of George, she would have her own savings, regardless of her husband. She was jubilant that she was finally able to take the first step. After the divorce, the Duchess longed to live freely and not depend on anyone. The girl understood that before getting a divorce, she should find out about Samuel's weaknesses and think about how to use them. Scarlett realized that the Duke was the second most powerful person after the imperial family. The girl knew that her husband had much more influence in the capital than George. The Duchess understood that if Joshua's existence was revealed, the brown-haired man's reputation would not suffer. Scarlett realized that this could harm his position. The girl understood that she needed someone who could put pressure on Samuel. She thought about pretending to be the Archduke's lover, as he wanted. Scarlett could not afford to be frivolous, because the guy could quickly get tired of it. The Duchess decided not to relax in front of George until she got everything she needed. Scarlet understood perfectly well what he craved. The brown-haired girl interrupted her thoughts and told her that they had brought goods from the Rosella jewelry store. She was confused because she did not expect that Empress Andrea's necklace would be delivered so quickly. Taking the box, the beauty realized that it was intended for a ring. Having praised the maids, Scarlet said that they could leave. Having opened the box, she realized that she had noticed this ring in the store. The girl opened the attached letter. George asked his beloved not to skip meals because if her health deteriorated, she would not be able to achieve anything. Grinning, she realized that this handwriting did not belong to the Archduke. The girl remembered that the brunette saw that she liked this ring most of all. Scarlet couldn't understand why the knight behaved this way, knowing about her relationship with his master. She realized that such behavior from Louis would not lead to anything good. The girl furiously wanted to throw the ring into the fireplace. The reflection of the flame played on the walls with twitching movements. Scarlet, holding her lower abdomen, realized that she hadn't really eaten lately and threw away all the medications that the doctor had prescribed for her. The girl hoped that if she lost even more weight, she would appear sick, and having learned about her condition, her husband would definitely take action. The lady rang the bell and realized that George might lose interest in her if she became too thin. Bowing, the maid asked if she had called her. The Duchess asked the girl to cook something to eat and bring it to her room. The girl explained that it was quite late and asked to bring something light. Having tied her luxurious hair in a ponytail, Scarlet realized that she could not achieve her goals if she did not take care of her health. Taking the spoon, the Duchess reminded herself that her journey was still far from completing her goal. She realized that she would not be able to survive until the end if she did not take care of her health. In her hand, Scarlet tightly clutched the beautiful gold ring that the brunette gave her. On the day of the banquet, the brown-haired man helped his wife get out of the carriage. Samuel said that he had not seen this necklace before. The girl assured that she received it as a wedding gift from her parents' house. Scarlet remembered that she wanted to ask her husband's permission for something. The Duchess explained to the guy that her mother wanted to send her sister Erica to the academy in the capital. The girl asked that they first help give the girl a formal education in ethics. The Duke informed his wife that in this case she could do whatever she wanted. Gently touching her hand, the guy asked if she remembered her task at this ball. Taking his arm, Scarlet said that she would do it without any problems. The girl realized that there was something that she had to do at this ball. The Duchess planned to meet with Amaryllis and obtain permission for the gondola business. Soon the couple entered a luxurious, brightly lit room. There were luxurious bouquets of flowers in huge vases. The aristocrats were discussing Madame Tanqueville's new dress. With a radiant smile, Merlin massaged the Emperor's shoulders. The brown-haired girl noticed that even His Majesty the Emperor looked better for the first time in a long time. The girl said that it was not for nothing that Madame had been near the Emperor for such a long time. The brown-haired woman wondered if it was good news for the Empress that His Highness had become close to another woman. The girl realized that the imperial family initially did not have very good relations. Scarlet noticed a blonde in luxurious clothes and immediately realized that she was Princess Amaryllis. The brunette explained that the princess does not have a very good relationship with her father. The girl, lowering her voice, said that the Empress had suffered a lot from His Highness. The Duchess listened attentively to the conversation but did not intervene. Soon a brunette approached the girl and asked her to follow him. Scarlet noticed that the guy had a luxurious wide back. The girl could not understand why he sent her a ring with a beautiful flower. She was sure that the knight was still bothered by what happened that night. The Duchess assumed that Louis guessed that it was her first time. The girl assumed that the brunette simply sympathized with her. Scarlet thought about asking the guy not to interfere in her affairs. She realized that the knight was simply pretending that he did not know what she was talking about. The brunette said that his master was waiting inside. Going out onto the luxurious balcony, the girl realized that there was no one there. The blonde, taking her hand of course, dragged her to him and looked into her sky-blue eyes. The Archduke said that he missed him very much. Moving the guy away a little, Scarlet said that her husband was nearby. The guy reminded that Sam was not with them. The Duchess reported that he was playing with fire. The girl explained that before meeting the princess she wanted to ask something. She explained that according to rumors, the princess and the emperor did not have a very good relationship. Averting his eyes, the blonde asked whether this could be described in words. The guy explained that there is no one who hates his brother as much as his sister. Scarlet clarified what happened between their highnesses. The Archduke explained that after the birth of his brother, he took a lot from his sister. George checked if she found out that members of the imperial family were born with magical abilities. The girl explained that she had heard the legend that as a gift to the first emperor, the red dragon bestowed power that was passed down through the imperial line. Looking up at the sky, the blonde admitted that he too once had magical powers. The guy explained that over time, the number of members of the imperial family who had magical powers increased, and because of this, internal riots broke out, and a decree was issued. The Archduke shared that the first child born after inheriting the throne must absorb the power of his younger relatives. George reported that it was possible to absorb the power of a member of the imperial family until he reached adulthood. The blonde explained that the first child of the empire after the coronation absorbs all the power of his younger relatives. The guy explained that in this way, the imperial power was strengthened and the uprising was suppressed. George explained that according to tradition, Sister Amaryllis was originally supposed to become empress. The guy said that the number of family members who can absorb power should increase, so that the strength of the imperial army increases. The blonde said that if a woman becomes the successor to the throne, she will focus on ruling and will not have many children. The blonde was removed from her rightful place as the crown princess immediately after her birth. After coming of age, the girl was married to the womanizer and parasite Duke Bokin. The princess's only task was to give birth to children in order to increase the magical power of her older brother. Scarlet was shocked by the cruelty of the imperial family. The blonde advised the girl under no circumstances to tell Amaryllis about the emperor or her past husband. The duchess promised to be careful. Nodding towards the exit, the blonde suggested that she take a walk. Smiling, the guy asked his sister if she was drinking wine again. The princess greeted her younger brother with a smile. George asked her to think about her health because she had been skipping a lot of meals lately. Squeezing her little brother's cheeks, the girl said that she was glad that he came to the capital. The princess hoped that she would see him often. The guy told the blonde that he would like to introduce her to someone. Bowing, Scarlet said that this meeting was a great honor for her and introduced herself. The woman said that she had heard about her. After all, she and the Duke of Huntington are known as lovebirds. The Duchess said that she considered it a blessing to serve such a husband as Samuel. The princess assumed that the girl was also unwittingly married to the Duke. Getting nervous, Scarlet assured that everything was wrong. The blonde clarified whether Huntington was a freedom-loving man. The woman asked whether the Duchess knew how many women in the capital she had been in the hands of. Scarlet sighed heavily and assured that this was all in the past, and now he valued her and would never betray her. Laughing, Amaryllis noticed that she had heard from her younger brother that she was indeed very perceptive. The princess was amazed at the girl's ability to lie. Smiling, the Archduke asked if his sister would be interested in listening to my lady's business plan. The blonde suggested that this was not quite the right place for such a conversation. The princess asked to come to her palace next time and promised to listen to everything there. George said that he would also visit the imperial palace. The girl said that her younger brother came there too often and asked her to stop wandering back and forth. Scarlet asked the guy if the princess liked her. The blonde said that if his sister had not liked her companion, she would not have invited her to the palace. Lowering her eyes, the Duchess shared her worries that she could have said something wrong in the palace because he would not be around. George assured his beloved that she should not worry. Trying to change the topic, the blonde said that good music had finally filled the hall. The Archduke asked the girl if she would give him a dance to relieve tension. Scarlet hesitantly extended her hand to him and soon they began to dance. The blonde assured that she shouldn't worry too much, assuring her that his sister was a kind person. The guy explained that Amaryllis hated men and treated women poorly. The Archduke explained that Samuel walked wildly before the wedding, and his sister never liked that. The blonde explained that the princess thought that such a person could not change in an instant simply because he got married. George asked the girls if this was true. She looked at him in surprise. The guy explained that he meant that the Duke now values her very much and is devoted. Smiling, Scarlet assumed that he was jealous. The blonde said that he was just collecting information about competitors. The girl became very nervous when she noticed her husband. It seemed that he had noticed her too and was now simply glaring at her. In parting, George assured the girl that her business would work out well. The blonde said that now this business will belong to them. The Duchess realized that her neck was very tired due to the fact that the diamond necklace was very heavy. Looking around, she tried to find the restroom. The girl walked quickly along the long corridors. The brown-haired man noticed that his wife was very popular with the imperial family. After hesitating a little, she assumed that Sam had also come to rest. The guy grabbed her and pushed her into the room. Pressing her against the wall, the Duke asked what she was talking about with George. The luxurious earrings injured the girl's cheek, causing her hellish pain. Scarlet explained that she really liked the canals, and therefore asked to introduce her to Princess Amaryllis, who owned them. The Duke clarified whether she had said anything unnecessary. The guy was furious that she left her husband and went around whispering with another man. Sam was furious that someone looked at them and thought they were lovers. The girl is trying to remain calm and said that they agreed to look like a happy couple in public. Scarlet was sure that it didn't matter if she whispered to another guy. The Duchess explained that she did not forget her duties. The girl clarified why His Excellency forbade her to have a personal life. She explained that she did not understand the reason for his anger. Scarlet explained that in the capital, having friendships with other men besides her husband is just part of social life. The girl said that there was nothing shameful in this. The Duke said that he did not care what she did with other men, and ordered her not to get close to George and the princess. Scarlet expected this, and assumed that he did not want his relationship with Joshua to be revealed. The girl could not understand why her husband was blocking her from the princess. The Duchess asked her husband why he did this. The brown-haired man furiously hit the wall and ordered her not to be so impudent and not to ask about the reasons. The guy explained that she had completely forgotten the reason why he was so generous with her. Sam said that he allowed her to have a private life because she was ridiculous and cute. The guy said that he could cancel this permission at any time. He asked not to take this as her right. The Duke said that it was his thing, with which he could do what he wanted. The guy assumed that she had forgotten his main goal, because of which he was postponing his marital duties. Sam said that the goal of this is not only to conceive a child, and for this you do not have to wait to protect her health. With burning eyes, the brown-haired man said that he would do his duty right now. Scarlet's body trembled with fear. Luckily for the girl, the door swung open, distracting the Duke. A bright light hurt her eyes. The brunette assumed that she had interfered with the newlyweds' privacy. Marilyn apologized for interfering so shamelessly. The woman said that His Majesty the Emperor would begin his speech soon, and suggested that the couple should return to the banquet hall. The guy put his arm around his wife's shoulder and suggested doing just that. The brown-haired man asked for forgiveness and quickly left the room. The Emperor, with a trembling voice, asked everyone present to come closer. That Scarlet was going through a small shiver. The girl looked at her hand and realized that she couldn't stop shaking. The Emperor's mistress asked the Duchess if she would help her. Taking the girl by the hand, Merlin explained that this was a woman's problem, and promised to tell everything when they left here. With a wink, the brunette told the Duke of Huntington that she would borrow his wife for a short while. The woman led Scarlet into the luxurious imperial garden. The Duchess clarified how she should help. With a wink, the brunette explained that this was a lie and there was no problem. The woman explained that she wanted to ask the girl something without prying eyes. Merlin explained that she was too weak for such romantic requests. Stretching out her hand, the woman asked the Duchess to pass. The brunette asked to tell Samuel that she had started menstruation, and she asked her to help her get herself in order. Waving her hand, the brunette said that it was time for her to deviate. Scarlet assumed that George asked to invite her to this secluded place. The guy called out to her and asked if everything was okay. The Duchess was a little taken aback when she noticed Sir Louis. Louis explained that he saw the Duke drag her into the restroom. The knight noticed that at that moment the atmosphere was quite alarming, and so he asked Lady Tankville to call her to the garden for a while. The brunette apologized for interfering in something that was not his own business. Hot tears flowed from Scarlet's eyes. For the first time in a long time, she felt warmth and care. The girl assured that something just got into her eye. Louis, without further ado, pressed her close to him, assuring her that everything was fine and no one would see her. The brunette said that he would wait until what got into her eye went away. She couldn't afford to become weak again and show herself like that. Moving away from him, the girl assured him that everything was fine. The Duchess reported that something actually got into her eye. The knight carefully unfastened the lock of the heavy diamond necklace. Scarlet realized that as soon as the necklace was gone, breathing became much easier. Taking the jewelry in his hands, the brunette noticed that it was quite heavy. Wiping away her tears, the girl said that because of its weight it was quite expensive and asked to give it back. The knight said that he would support the necklace for a while because she had been breathing heavily all day. Looking back, Scarlet assumed that he had been spying on her all day. The brunette gently ran his finger over her cheek, noticing the wounds on her skin. Louis asked to wait a little and put his hand under his luxurious jacket. Soon the guy took a small bottle and applied it to a snow-white scarf. The Duchess noticed that every time they met, he treated her wound. Louis reported that she was the one who was injured too often. Embarrassed, the girl suggested that even if she got hurt, she could just pretend that he didn't notice. Confused, she clarified why he was constantly worried about her. Scarlett realized that they had only spent one night. The Duchess realized that she was so pathetic that on her wedding night she cried and begged another man to hug her. She was sure that out of pity he sent her gifts and looked after her all day. Scarlett couldn't understand why the brunette appeared in front of her when she was having the hardest time. She still couldn't decide what to do. The brunette clarified whether the Duchess was his master's mistress. The knight assured that he was simply monitoring her safety. Looking at him with disbelief, Scarlett clarified whether he was worried about her only because she was the Archduke's mistress. She wanted to know how he really felt about her at the time he warned her to beware of George. The girl clarified what the brunette would do if his master's mistress tried to kiss another man. She kissed him passionately, but could not understand who the beating of the heart, which was about to jump out of her chest, belonged to. Scarlett pushed the guy away from her, realizing that she could not become sincere. The Duchess realized that these feelings could backfire on both her and her guardian. Stepping aside, she assured that it was just a joke and asked not to misunderstand her. Louis hugged his beloved tightly and kissed her passionately. The brunette said that if George reproaches her for kissing someone else, then she can say that he made her do it by force. The guy put the jewel in her fragile hands and, bowing, disappeared behind the green hedge. She looked after him, realizing that only this man was sincere with her. Once in the carriage, the Duchess could not forget that passionate kiss. Scarlett wondered if kissing had always been so pleasant for her. The girl realized that until now the kiss had been felt completely differently. She suggested that when a person has a lover, they wanted to kiss. Scarlett wanted to feel such a sweet and hot feeling again. The brown-haired man suggested that his wife finish their recent conversation. Sam explained that her duties that must be performed would be discussed. The guy said that the servants told him that she ate so badly. The Duke assumed that she believed that in this way she could avoid it. The brown-haired man said that even if the body is not ready, they will try, and sooner or later the child will appear. Sam told the girl that they would start that night. The guy asked if she needed to give her a little more time. Roughly grabbing her hand, the brown-haired man suggested doing it right in the carriage. The girl shivered with fear because she didn't want this. The Duke said that he was lenient towards her because she was quite nice. Sam was amazed how a simple girl pretended to be smart and pretended that she had achieved something. The brown-haired man said that he would leave her this time, but he would come the next day. He asked to prepare well before this. Scarlett realized that the next day she would have to do this with her husband. The girl peered into the darkness of the night. The Duchess did not know whether she should continue to remain her husband's instrument. Scarlett nervously bit her finger, causing it to bleed. She was disgusted at the mere thought of merging with him. The girl understood his original meaning of the whole action. Looking around, the Duchess looked at the candle, which no longer gave off bright light. With a slight movement of her hand, she lit a match and brought it to the lamp. Clutching the light source tightly in her hand, Scarlett decided not to be so helpless anymore. She threw on her cape and quickly walked along the long corridors. Soon the Duchess knocked on the door. Hearing the knock, the blonde quickly jumped up from the floor and headed towards the door. She hoped that her lover came to her at such a late time. Joshua, with a radiant smile and glowing amber eyes, opened the door, assuming that her lover suddenly wanted to see her. The smile soon turned into misunderstanding when she saw the silhouette of her rival. The blonde asked Scarlett for some reason she came to her. The girl assured that if she mocked her, she would tell Sam everything, and he would scold her. The Duchess calmly reported that Samuel was going to spend the next night with her. The girl explained that she told her this just in case. Scarlett was surprised that the blonde didn't care. She explained that if she unites her body with her husband, she will create a child. The Duchess explained that if she gave birth, he would become the next duke and one day take over the mansion. Scarlett reminded her husband's mistress that he would grow old before her. The girl asked the blonde to imagine what would happen in this case. The Duchess noticed the surprise on the girl's face if she knew that she had never thought about it. Scarlett reminded herself that the blonde had been locked up since she was 6, and because of this she knew nothing of this world. With confidence, the Duchess announced that the offer she made last time was still valid. The mistress of the duchy said that she could help her get out of this place. Scarlett begged the blonde to help her prevent her from merging with her husband. The girl promised to help her in this case. The blonde asked not to lie. Joshua explained that her lover promised her that he would never sleep with his wife. The Duchess asked if he had promised her. The blonde explained that Sam was forced to do this for the sake of their child. The girl tried to understand what she meant. The Duchess clarified why she was needed for the child Joshua. Lowering her eyes, the blonde explained that Sam said that if she gave birth to a child, he would not be able to accept an illegitimate one. The girl explained that if the daughter of the poor is appointed Duchess, the vassals will protest. She will not be able to act. Joshua was explained by her rival that her child would enjoy wealth and honor and have a happy life. The girl realized that even if her mistress gives birth to a child, the Duke will spread rumors that she gave birth. Scarlett realized what the loving couple meant when they called her a tool for conception. The Duchess clarified that there were no other reasons why Samuel should sleep with her. The girl once again clarified whether he promised her not to do this. The blonde explained that her lover made her a promise that they would sleep with any girl other than her. The Duchess realized that she had no idea what Sam was doing outside the mansion. Scarlett clarified what she would do if he broke his promise. The girl assumed that the blonde would get angry, after which she would be punished again and locked in this room. Throwing on a black robe, Scarlett said that she could think about whatever she wanted. The Duchess said that if she left everything like this, she would sleep with her husband. The girl asked the blonde to continue in the same spirit. Joshua asked the overnight guest to stop. In the amber eyes one could see sadness mixed with pain. The blonde asked her rival whether the Duke really agreed to sleep with her. The girl tied the fabric and rope and hung it on a massive board. The brown-haired man ordered his mistress to calm down. Joshua reminded her lover that he promised that he had a wife, and nothing would happen, and that this was just a fictitious marriage. The girl reminded her lover that this is exactly what he told her. Sam said that nothing would really happen between them, and she misunderstood everything. The guy clarified who told his beloved that he would sleep with Scarlett. Breaking into a scream, the blonde said that Madame Moore had already told her everything. The girl clarified what this meant at the moment. Joshua said that if he spends the night of love with another, she will hang herself. The guy gently touched her hand and ordered her to calm down. The brown-haired man took her in his arms and tried to calm her down. The girl asked him to promise that he would not sleep with his wife. The Duke made a promise that he would never spend the night with Scarlett. Sam assured that this was not even in his thoughts. The blonde said that from now on he would come to her bed every day without exception. The Duke said that this was too much, and despite the fact that this was a fictitious marriage, he should spend time with his wife. The guy gently removed the noose from the blonde's neck and said that you should enter the situation. The brown-haired man explained that it would be strange if the newlyweds did not live in the same room. Joshua asked if her lover would go to her rival. Raising his hands, the guy assured that they would just share a room and nothing more. The blonde asked her lover to prove it to her. The guy clarified whether he really needed to do this. Joshua told her lover that if he couldn't take off his pants, she would feel safer. The blonde said that if at least one of these threads breaks, then she doesn't want to see him anymore. The girl said that if he wants to take off his pants, then let him come to her. The Duke asked in surprise what kind of chastity pants she had come up with. Joshua said that if he doesn't like it, then he doesn't have to leave and live with her forever. Scarlett carefully peered into the night sky and distant cold stars. Soon the husband entered the room in a luxurious white robe. The brown-haired man asked if she told Madame Moore that they would spend the night together. The Duchess explained that she was not very experienced and asked the woman for advice. The girl explained that she did not know that this needed to be kept secret and was sure that this was quite natural between a married couple. Sam, sitting comfortably on the sofa, explained that it was not her fault, but that Madame had too long a tongue. The wife noticed that the Duke looked tired and asked if he wanted to have a drink. The guy ordered her to pour something. Scarlett carefully handed him a glass of wine. He noticed that his wife was wearing a very indecent outfit. The brown-haired man said that in any case, a hillbilly will remain a hillbilly. The guy noticed that he was not in the mood and asked him to pay more attention to his clothes next time. Scarlett realized that he did not touch her because of his mistress, and therefore used her appearance as an excuse. The Duke held out the glasses and asked to pour him a little more. The room was flooded with rays of bright sunlight. The girl happily ate a crown of grapes. Sam was lying on a huge double bed clutching a bottle of alcohol in his hands. The brunette woke up and touched his chastity pants. The Duke said that it was time for him to leave, because he had drunk a lot and had a severe headache. Scarlett followed him with a grin. The blonde hopefully asked her rival if he really just fell asleep and then left. The mistress of the house assured that her husband was drunk and soon fell asleep and did not touch her with a finger. Joshua recalled that she said that her lover quickly fell asleep when he drank wine. The Duchess said that, as promised, she would help her get out. Scarlett clarified whether there was a place where the blonde wanted to go. With sparkling eyes, the girl said that there was one place she dreamed of visiting. The captive put on a green cape and stood and looked at the azure waters of the canal with admiration. Joshua was delighted by the beauty of the Floriscia Canal. The blonde pointed out the flowers that grew near the bridge and explained that her lover gave them to her. The Duchess said that there are many flowers on the banks of the canal, and there are even more of them during the day. The girl was delighted with the beauty of this place. After thinking a little, Scarlett clarified how she ended up in the estate. The blonde explained that her mother died and she had nowhere to go and her lover took her in. The girl asked her rival who her father was. Looking at the city with admiration, Joshua said that she only had her mother. The girl wondered if her mother had seen such channels. In the village where they lived, there was absolutely nothing. The blonde noticed the boats, pointed her finger at them, and delighted everyone with their beauty. Scarlett assured that boats much more beautiful than these would soon appear. The girl explained that gondolas are boats in which the boatmen sang songs. The Duchess explained that those trays would have high sides through which water would not seep through, and would be very convenient for admiring the landscapes. The blonde sighed dreamily, and suggested that it would be very cool to sit on the boat listening to songs and eating snacks. Joshua suggested that this was very uplifting. The girl grinned and suggested that she knew where to buy delicious food. The blonde said that she would like cute and sweet cookies to be sold there. Scarlett told the girl that despite the circumstances under which they met, she did not want to hate her. The Duchess recalled that they were the same age and lived in the same house. The girl suggested continuing to help each other and be friends. Taking her hands, the blonde admitted that he had a girlfriend for the first time. Joshua asked her friend if she could take her outside in the future. The girl explained that they should not come across the servants, and therefore they would not be able to go for walks often. Lowering her eyes, the blonde suggested that if they were caught, her lover would be angry with both of them. The Duchess asked the girl whether she loved Samuel. Scarlett recalled that he forbade her to leave the estate and did not let her go anywhere, keeping her in fear. Smiling, the girl reminded him that this was only because she disobeyed him. Joshua explained that his lover was only trying to protect her from the dangers that lay in wait outside. The blonde explained that the Duke did a lot of good things for her and bought everything she wanted. Scarlett asked the girl why Sam married her if he loved her. The girl explained that her lover wanted to protect her. The blonde said that the family constantly pestered the guy with questions about marriage and wanted him to break ties with her. The mistress explained that he made the baron's daughter a duchess so that their child could be recognized as an heir. The rival reminded Joshua that her child would grow up, calling her mom. The girl asked if she agreed to this. The blonde recalled that she could not do anything because she was an orphan, and her beloved was a duke. Joshua said that Sam was expecting her child to be his heir. The mistress was sure that it would be easier if he married an aristocrat and looked after the child. The blonde grinned and said that he loved only her. Scarlett reminded her that she would be locked in a tiny room, and her child would be raised by another woman. Firmly gripping the handrails of the pier, the blonde explained that she could withstand everything thanks to his love. The Duchess clarified whether the girl knew for sure that she loved him. The girl reminded her that she had spent her entire life locked up and had never seen anyone except the brown-haired man. Scarlett said that she could meet another man who would be even better than Samuel. The blonde said that there was no one better than him. The girl explained that he was handsome, sensual, and loved only her. Scarlett asked her husband's mistress where she got this information. The Duchess explained that he took her into his house when she was still a little girl, lied, intimidated her, and did not support her at all. The blonde peered at her reflection in the water. Tears began to flow quickly from her eyes. The girl was sure that Sam's wife wanted to come between them. Joshua suggested that her rival wanted to take her lover away from her. The blonde assured that she would never separate her from him. With calmness, the Duchess said that she could think so if it calmed her down at least a little. Turning away, the Duchess explained that if the one who said that he loved her would disappear, then she would not be able to cope with anything alone. Scarlett explained that if, out of fear, you become attached to the love that you feel for a person and continue to cling to it, then at one moment you really begin to believe that you love him. The girl admitted that she was also sure that she loved her father. Scarlett explained that she obeyed and obeyed him in everything, believing that he did everything to protect her and make her happy. The Duchess asked Joshua if she looked secure and happy. The girl admitted that she was sold to Samuel like a commodity. Scarlett said that it is very easy to raise an obedient child. She said that while everyone justifies their actions with love, she realizes that this is violence. The Duchess said that she had no choice but to become dependent on this love. The guy gently stroking his beloved's hair asked if she slept last night. Sam noticed that the blonde had been acting rather strangely all day. The Duke asked if everything was fine and he should not call a doctor. The blonde grinned and assured her that she was fine. The brown-haired man kissed her forehead tenderly. He told Joshua that if she was in pain, she could tell them at any time. When the guy left, the blonde remained sitting on the floor, tightly clutching two small dolls. Amaryllis asked my lady to come in. Bowing to the Duchess, she said that it was an honor for her to meet Her Highness again. The blonde assumed that the girl had come to tell her something. Scarlett reminded herself that in order to successfully implement her project, she needed to get the princess's permission. Amaryllis asked the girl about the gondola business. The very nervous girl explained that if she gives permission, it will help glorify the Florinsky water utility. The blonde suggested that he would become even more beautiful and attract many more people. The Duchess reminded that the princess's son would soon get married. Scarlett explained that she had heard that she was looking for fresh ideas for organizing a wedding ceremony. The girl proposed to present these gondolas for the first time at the wedding of Prince Birkin. The blonde asked again and clarified the girl's idea. The Duchess explained that instead of going to the altar, the betrothed would float to it. The girl explained that residents of the capital would remember such a wedding for a long time. The Duchess noted that it would have a deeper meaning if the prince took his first step towards starting a family life through a channel owned by his respected mother. Laughing, the princess realized why George decided to invest so much money in this project. Amaryllis noticed that she knew how to interest people. A faint smile appeared on the Duchess's face. She couldn't believe that she could get permission so easily. The blonde said that before giving the go-ahead, she wanted to know something. The woman clarified why the entrepreneur asked for protection not from her husband, but from George. The princess reported that the Duke of Huntington was proud of his authority as a friend of the imperial family. Amaryllis was sure that the guy could not have problems with money. The Duchess assured that her husband had no problems with money, but he was not interested in shipbuilding. Scarlett said that the Duke was busy reviewing his estates and servants, and she did not want to bother him. The girl explained that it was solely her desire to continue the work that her father taught her. The blonde suggested that without her husband's help, all the profits would go only to Scarlett. Amaryllis asked the Duchess to give an honest answer. She assumed that the Duchess wanted to escape from Samuel. Scarlett began to recite the text she had learned in advance. The woman said that she could deceive anyone, but not her. The blonde admitted that she knew what it was like to live with a man who would not leave his wife for anything. Hesitating a little, the girl pretended that she didn't understand what was going on. Rising from her seat, the woman asked to follow her. Amaryllis explained that her mother asked her to build this gallery because she loved paintings. Pointing to the brown-haired princess, she explained that she was George's own mother and the second wife of the previous emperor. The blonde shared that her mother died during the birth of His Majesty Frederick III. The princess shared that then the emperor had a second wife who gave birth to George, and she replaced her own mother. Amaryllis asked the girl if her younger brother had told her anything about the woman. The Duchess admitted that she had never heard of that one. The blonde suggested that George did not talk about how the empress died. Scarlett remembered hearing about the tragic incident after the coronation of the current emperor. The girl admitted that she didn't know for sure. Amaryllis explained that the death of the woman who replaced her mother was presented as an accident, but in fact it was Frederick who killed her. The girl was taken aback when she heard such information. The princess assumed that she had already heard that initially the firstborn son inherited the throne, regardless of gender. With each one I remembered that the last emperor passed the throne to his son, not his daughter. The blonde explained that he justified his action by the fact that women should give birth to children. The woman explained that as soon as her son was born, he deprived her of the right to the throne and appointed Frederick as his heir. She said that the father gave everything to his younger brother. The princess reported that the emperor not only deprived her of the status of heiress, but also took away the magical powers of her sons. Amaryllis explained that the heir, who was a spoiled child, grew up to be a disgusting person. With pain in her heart, the blonde admitted that her brother exploited and raped women. Frederick not only cheated on his wife, but also ridiculed the ladies of the court, using physical violence against them, and also beat the men who dared to stand up for them. The princess shared that even the emperor eventually became disillusioned with his son. The woman said that when George was born, he wanted to raise him to be more flexible and remove his firstborn from the throne in order to appoint the guy as crown prince. Raising her eyes to the sky so as not to cry, the blonde explained that Frederick had guessed everything and killed his father. The woman said that having taken the throne, he wanted to deprive George of any power and then kill him. The princess involuntarily recalled the years of her youth, how she watched the bullying of her younger brother. Amaryllis could only watch as the killer strangled and abused the baby. The blonde said that by taking away his brother's power, he felt it growing. The emperor realized that the more magic he received, the stronger he would become. Frederick was sure that his sister would give birth to a bunch of more children, and he could kill his opponent without any problems. The brown-haired woman fell to her knees and asked to kill her instead of George. The emperor gripped the hilt of his sword tightly with a grin. The blonde was delighted with my lady's nobility. Frederick said that for the sake of the empress he would show generosity and do as she asked. Hot tears welled up in the brunette's eyes. The woman, with her hands trembling with fear, laid her son, who was unconscious, on the ground. The amber eyes reflected pain and awareness of everything that was happening. The guy saw how his dearest person committed harakiri. Breaking into a scream, the blonde called his mother. Scarlet realized that the guy's mother died right before his eyes. The princess explained that each member of the imperial family was born with a unique magical gift. Amaryllis explained that the Archduke possessed healing magic. The blonde said that before his ability was taken away, he could even regrow a severed leg. His magic was so powerful. The Duke asked his brother, who begged his dearest man not to die, if he could heal her. The baby's hands quickly became covered in blood, and a desperate cry poured from his mouth. The Duchess became sick from the realization that he could not save his mother because his powers were taken away. Amaryllis explained that after this, the guy practically did not leave Kingsley's property. The princess shared that her son Mike, after his magic was taken away, was exiled to a monastery. Smiling, the woman said that by that time she had already turned 18, and her younger brother could not take her away as a magical gift. The blonde suggested that he left her alive because the female sex was deprived of the right to inherit the throne, and it was much more profitable to deprive sons of their powers. Amaryllis reported that male relatives used her as a tool. The blonde admitted that her married life was like a nightmare. The princess said that she saw very well those who did not marry for love and understood what they wanted. The woman said that she was ready to support Scarlet's idea, because she needed money and a place to escape from her father and husband. Amaryllis promised the girl to give her permission to rebuild the canal if she was honest with her. The blonde clarified whether the Duchess was preparing for a divorce from Sam. Having lowered her eyes, the girl froze, not knowing what to answer. The Duchess said that her husband was a very good person. The girl explained that the human heart is prone to change, and therefore she must be ready for anything. Smiling, the princess drew attention to the wonderful answer. Amaryllis assumed that the guest would do this in secret from her husband. The Duchess admitted that she would be grateful if she gave the go-ahead. The blonde said that she would allow the use of the water canal. The woman was sure that she could come if she needed anything else. A radiant smile appeared on Scarlet's face, and she thanked her for such generosity. The princess admitted that she couldn't wait to see the gondolas at her son's wedding. The blonde said that she would meet with them and discuss this. The Duchess promised to prepare a draft plan and bring it for approval. The woman suggested that her mother belonged to the Mad family. After confirmation from Scarlet, the blonde said that in her family there was the famous portrait artist Betty. The princess suggested that the portraits were in the palace gallery. The Duchess said that the woman was her grandmother. Confused, the girl admitted that she inherited her scarlet hair from her. The blonde reported that she could not remember that Betty Mudd had scarlet hair. Pointing to one of the paintings, Amaryllis said that it was a self-portrait of Betty and she was brown-haired. The princess noticed that the girl did not look much like the woman she looked from the portrait. Lowering her eyes, the girl assumed that she did not remember her grandmother well. The Duchess peered into the forest landscapes. Scarlet recalled that everyone reproached her for her hair color and had the assumption that her mother was a harlot. The woman comforted the baby when you cried. The brown-haired woman claimed that she looked like her grandmother. She had the same hair as hers. The Duchess realized that until that moment, she had taken those words at face value, even when her father married her off against her will to the Duke of Huntington. Scarlet realized that she might not be the Baron's own daughter. Soon the little girl ran up to her older sister and hugged her tightly. The girl remembered that her mother said that she would supposedly send Erica to learn the rules of behavior in secular society. The Duchess asked her sister whether she had entered the academy. Erica was delighted by the beauty of the capital's landscapes. The girl explained that because of this, she asked her mother to send her to study in this city. The brown-haired woman clarified how her sister felt after the wedding. Erica asked if her husband treated her older sister well. Smiling, the Duchess assured that he was very kind. Scarlett realized that she really was not like the rest of her relatives. After all, Erica took after her mother, and Jonathan took after his father. The girl wondered whose blood flowed through her veins. With a cheerful smile, the foreigner assumed that the lady had come in to study the project. The Duchess said that she had come to talk about the Gandil affair. The business lady said that she wanted to give the Dishmad Guild a special task. Scarlett clarified whether he knew how to keep secrets. The girl said that she wanted to clarify something with Benjamin, who was her previous butler. The Duchess realized that he had been working here in the Chandler household since before she was born. She wanted to find out who her real family was. The girl explained that the question was very sensitive and suggested that getting an answer would not be easy. Scarlett asked if a man could help her. The sponsor whispered something in his ear. The brown-haired man assured that this was possible and asked to trust him. The lady said that she would pay part of the money in advance, and the rest would be given later. Putting her finger to her lips, the Duchess asked him to be silent. Erica carefully wrote out the words. Peering out from behind the many bookshelves, the Duchess looked at her little sister with a smile. The girl clarified whether she was distracting her from her studies. The brown-haired woman assured that everything was fine. The teacher noticed that Mrs. Erica could count quickly and was very smart. Smiling, Scarlett explained that she was the daughter of a merchant and knew how to count from an early age. Madame joked that given the beauty and education of the baby, grooms would line up to see her. The brown-haired woman said that she achieved this thanks to her older sister. The girl said that thanks to the Duke, her brother began to study knighthood. Scarlett realized that her father gave her in marriage so that she would arrange the future of his biological children. The girl realized that because of her origin, even her mother did not love her. The Duchess remembered that since childhood she had been entrusted with the most difficult tasks, and only the easy ones to her brother and sister. The girl was sure it was because of her age and expectations. Taking the Duchess by the hands, the sister said that she was very envious of her. The brown-haired woman explained that when she was very young, her father believed that he had no need to teach both daughters, and did not initiate her into the affairs of the guild. Erica explained that the older sister was good at everything because of her mentality. The girl assured that she also wanted to become the same as her sister, and therefore begged her parents to send her to study at the academy. The little girl said that she was really looking forward to being taught the manners of the capital. Snuggling close to her older sister, Erica promised to become just like her. Scarlett realized that the baby grew up perceiving her as her own older sister, and lovingly repeated everything after her. The Duchess remembered how her younger sister calmed her down when her father screamed in anger. The girl realized that despite her different blood, she would always remain her beloved little sister. The Duchess told the brown-haired girl that she should live much happier than she did. The girl asked Lady Moore to take care of the girl so that she would be comfortable in their mansion. The Archduke asked his sister if she agreed to this. Amaryllis clarified that the rumors that the girl and Samuel were doing well turned out to be a lie. The princess explained that not even a month had passed since the Duke's wedding, and his wife was already dreaming of a divorce. George noticed that everything turned out exactly as they had expected. The blonde advised her younger brother to gain Scarlett's trust and force her to reveal her husband's secrets. He said that he would invite his beloved to celebrate the successful launch of the project and propose a toast. The Archduke peered carefully into the contents of his glass. Amber eyes burned with anticipation of something grandiose. Two glasses collided under the dim color of the nightlight, and drops of wine splashed into the turquoise waters of the strait. The blonde offered the girl a drink for their joint venture. The Archduke said that he wanted to quickly see how the gondolas floated along the waters of the canal. Scarlett supported the guy by saying that there was very little left. The blonde asked his beloved if everything was in order at that banquet when her husband called her away. George noticed that the brown-haired man had a dissatisfied expression on his face when they danced, and he admitted that he was worried about the Duchess. Scarlett remembered that thanks to Lady Tankville they were able to avoid conflict. The Duchess involuntarily remembered the passionate kiss with Louis, from which her heart began to jump out of her chest, and her face was covered with drops of cold sweat. The girl said that nothing bad happened and thanked the care. She glanced briefly at her lover, who was guarding their peace. The guy asked if the businesswoman could be frank with him. George reported that they were now in the same boat. The blonde explained that if she had any difficulties, she could share them with him. The Archduke tenderly kissed Scarlett's graceful hand. He said that he would always yearn to capture her heart. The girl said that it was not for sale. The blonde said that this made him want to get him even more. Smiling, Scarlett asked how he could help her if she really had difficulties. The guy suggested that his beloved first tell her what was bothering her. The Duchess vaguely stated that her husband had injured body and soul. The blonde checked with his beloved whether Sam was faithful, or whether he was having affairs with other women. Smiling, Scarlett asked what he could do if the brown-haired man did both. Grinning, the Archduke said that he would kill the guy. The Duchess was a little taken aback when she realized that George was ready to kill his close friend for her sake. The guy said that the more he looked at her, the more he liked her. The blonde said that for her sake he was ready to fight Samuel to the death. Covering his mouth, the girl clarified whether he entertained everyone with similar words. The guy admitted that everything was going on before this incident. Scarlett said that his past lovers were naive fools, because they believed that the first person they met was immediately ready to die for them. The Duchess was sure that the man was ready. To give one's life for love existed only in novels. The girl explained that the opposite sex was only interested in dry benefit, and they would not act to their detriment. Scarlett, straightening her luxurious ruby hair, said that she was not so simple-minded as to confuse fiction with reality. The blonde noticed that she was indeed quite smart. The Archduke reported that her intelligence made her even more attractive. George asked why he should own something that could easily be bought, since it was much more tempting to steal it. The blonde assumed that Scarlett was provoking him. The guy said that she had already managed to charm him. The girl grinned and said that stealing items not for sale was a crime. The blonde ignored her remarks, noticing that she was injured. The Duchess said that there was nothing wrong with it. George assumed that her words were true. The guy was sure that the brown-haired man beat and cheated. The blonde man became gloomy and asked the girl whether his close friend really hit his wife. Scarlett was amazed that he was actually angry over such a small bruise. Holding the girl tightly to himself, the blonde promised to destroy his opponent. George explained that with his own hands he would tear apart anyone who even laid a finger on Scarlett. I was a little taken aback, because I didn't even realize that he could be sincere, because it all started as simple entertainment. The Duchess was sure that there was nothing wrong with this, and that it would not interfere with her escape plan. Looking at him sternly, the girl clarified whether he really loved. Smiling, George suggested that she was right, because he was really ready to kill Samuel. She asked if he could help her. Scarlett said she couldn't give details, but she was preparing for divorce. And she said that this was the reason why she rebuilt the Floriscia Canal with the money of the Archduke, and not her husband. The guy assured that if the project brought good profits, then after the divorce she would have money for an independent life. The girl said that her husband would not let her go just like that. And taking his hand, Scarlett said that in order to achieve a divorce, she would need to make a lot of effort. The Duchess said that she would need protection before she escaped from Samuel Huntington. The girl recalled that he was the most influential member of the imperial family, since he was the heir to the throne. She supported the guy, saying that he would not yield to the Duke in strength. Scarlett asked if he could protect her so that she could safely leave her husband. The blonde said that he had one condition. The guy became gloomy and asked to tell who the Duke's mistress was. George said that if she told this information, he would do as she wanted. A little taken aback, the girl asked why this information interested him so much. The blonde vowed not to leave alive anyone who hurt her, no matter who you were. Scarlett realized that he wanted to get rid of not only her husband, but also Joshua. The Duchess hesitated, not knowing whether she should tell the guy about the existence of the blonde or hide the extramarital affair with her husband. The girl fell silent, thinking about the correct answer. The girl wanted to protect her husband's mistress. Therefore, she assured that he did not cheat on her, but rather that she cheated on him. The girl explained that Samuel had someone with whom he had been in love even before the wedding. The Duchess doubted that this could be called treason. Scarlett explained that an adult man took in a 6-year-old orphan and began dating her when she grew up. A little taken aback, the Archduke asked if the opponent had touched the child. The Duchess explained that when she was little, her wife did not touch her. But at that moment the girl was already 20 years old. and he imagined her as his mistress. Lowering her eyes, Scarlett shared that her husband hid the existence of the blonde from her. The girl explained that if she had known, she would undoubtedly have done something. The Duchess assured that her appearance also wounded the girl. Scarlett said that she did not want to hurt her anymore. She admitted that she only wanted to come between them. The blonde asked the Duchess what she would accept if that girl turned out to be pregnant. Scarlett said that she had not yet carried a child under her heart, but someday this would happen. The girl assumed that Samuel would want to recognize her child as his heir. The business lady explained that he married her because he needed an aristocrat in order to assign this status to an illegitimate child. George asked if she was going to give birth to an heir for the Duke. The guy clarified whether the Duke had ended his relationship with that girl. Scarlett said that her husband spent his wedding night in the blonde's room, but was never with her. Gloomily, the Archduke thanked her for sharing this information with him. The guy asked Scarlett to immediately tell him if her husband's mistress became pregnant. The blonde grinned and said that there was nothing worse than the birth of an illegitimate child. George said that she could use this as incriminating evidence in a divorce. The girl realized that as soon as Joshua had a child, she would not be able to do anything. She realized that the birth of an illegitimate child would be an excellent basis for divorce. Scarlett understood that she could only wait. The Duchess promised to inform her business partner if this happened. Having hugged his beloved, the guy suggested that it broke her heart. The blonde had no idea that Samuel was such a psycho. George noticed that his good friend was doing an excellent job of hiding his nasty insides. The Archduke swore that he would pay for this. Scarlett said she wanted protection, not revenge. The guy swore that he would never harm her. Lifting the girl's face, the blonde kissed her tenderly. With pain in his heart, the knight watched from afar what was happening. The blonde asked to tell him if something happens. The aristocrat, embarrassed, thanked her for her concern. The Archduke said that he could not afford to let her go alone. The guy ordered Louis to escort Milady. Bowing, the knight said that he considered this order from his master an honor. Confused, Scarlett assured that she could get there on her own. The blonde could not understand the reason for her refusal, and asked her to do him a favor by accepting Sir Edmund's accompaniment. The blonde said that it was for her own good, and our heroine had no choice but to agree. The Duchess spent some time examining his raven feather hair, which shimmered under the dim light of the moon. Knocking on the small window of the carriage, the girl asked to be dropped off. She assured that she could get there on her own. The knight recalled that Mr. George ordered him to take her home. Scarlett suggested that the guy just say that he dropped her off. Louis said this did not cause him any inconvenience and the Duchess's safety was paramount. The girl explained that this was not necessary and ordered the crew to stop. The aristocrat warned that if he did not stop the carriage, she would tell George about their relationship. A few moments later, the carriage jerked sharply and stopped. The girl almost fell from the sudden braking. Approaching the door, the brunette dryly asked what kind of relationship they had. Out of embarrassment, she turned away and asked if he himself knew. The guy asked whether she was in love with his master. Louis said that if she could talk about what did not happen, then she could do so if it would make her feel better. The knight asked the girl not to fall in love with George because it could be dangerous. Scarlett looked at the brunette and asked what he meant by this. The guy entered the carriage and closed the windows with huge curtains. Louis sat down opposite her and asked if she knew the reason why Archduke Kingsley tried to win her heart. The girl admitted that she did not know the reason why he was interested in her. The Duchess explained that she initially enjoyed spending time with him, but at some point she realized that she liked him. The brunette said that she was also very attractive to his master. The knight assured that this was not the main reason. At her surprised look, Louis explained that Mr. George wanted to achieve one goal, the path to achieving which was filled with dangers. The brunette explained that because of this, the gentleman avoided serious relationship. The guy said that the Archduke did not want to risk the life of his beloved. Scarlett admitted that the blonde was quite attractive to her, but, having interrupted the girl, the brunette suggested that she could somehow help him get what he wanted. Louis was sure that because of this, such an influential person was trying to achieve her love. The knight recalled that the Archduke could do a lot, and said that she could also use him for her own purposes. The brunette said that as long as the master needs Scarlett, he will do anything for her. The guy asked his beloved not to fall in love with the blonde for real, because she could get hurt. The Duchess realized that the brunette didn't seem like the kind of person who would say something like that out of jealousy. She assumed that he considered his master a cold and calculating person. Scarlett clarified whether the brunette served him out of fear. Louis reported that he understood why the Archduke became like this. The guy asked if Scarlet knew what the current emperor did in his youth. The brunette recalled that he killed the guy's own mother when he lost his magical powers. The knight explained that upon ascending the throne, Frederick became even more cruel towards women. The Duchess remembered the rumors that he beat one man who stood up for his wife. The darkened brunette said that the woman was his mother. The knight explained that this happened when he was still a weak child. Louis shared that the emperor bullied his mother when he was drunk. The brunette said that when her father stood up for her, the emperor attacked him. The guy said that his mother could not recover from that shame and committed suicide shortly after the incident. The knight explained that none of the emperor's associates and nobles came to his mother's funeral because they were afraid to go against the word of His Highness. Louis reported that the tyrant did not even apologize. The guy said that the only person who came to his mother's funeral was Archduke Kingsley. The blonde apologized on behalf of his brother. George reported that he knew it was useless to ask forgiveness from someone who was already dead. The guy swore that he would never let something like this happen again. Hot tears flowed from his eyes, mixing with the cold rain that fell from the sky, as if mourning the deceased. After this, the young earl applied for the role of apprentice at the Kingsley estate and was accepted. The guy said that after that he was knighted. The brunette explained that he had sworn an oath of allegiance to the Archduke. The count assured that he never regretted this decision. Louis said that soon the gentleman began to be filled with anger and hatred. The brunette watched as the Archduke slowly began to transform into a cold and calculating man. Louis explained that the master had lost too much to be able to truly love someone. The guy was sure that George could not allow himself to fall in love with a woman if it did not bring him any benefit. The brunette assured that the gentleman was not one of those who would cause pain for the sake of pleasure. The knight said that the master liked Scarlet, and that he would protect her and asked to use this. The brunette asked her never to give the guy her heart, otherwise the girl risked never getting it back. The interlocutor began to nervously shake her hands. The Duchess said that she did not date the blonde because she had tender feelings for him. Scarlet assured that she was not a naive fool who was ready to give her heart to anyone. The brunette took her words as the truth. The knight promised to drop her off a little further, because in these places it is difficult to walk. Louis slammed the carriage doors shut. Entering the estate, the Duchess gave her outerwear to the maid. Scarlet wondered what dangerous things the Archduke could be up to. The girl could not understand how she could help the blonde carry out his plans. The Duchess remembered that George flirted with her at the opera house, and he said that he could trust his life to the brown-haired man, but at the same time, he had his eyes on his wife. The girl could not understand what the Archduke was trying to achieve with her help. Scarlet suggested that the blonde wanted to deprive her husband of his status, or that they had some personal scores. The girl was distracted from her thoughts by furious screams. She heard Erica's voice. Running to the scene of the commotion, the lady clarified what was happening here. Soon the Duchess saw her younger sister tearing out the hair on the blonde's head. She asked Erica and Joshua what they were doing. The brown-haired woman assured that she intended to tear out all the hair of this scoundrel and throw her out of the house. Scarlet ordered the girls to calm down. The Duchess approached the blonde and asked if she was okay. The girl was crying and shaking all over. Our heroine noticed that the blonde was bleeding and ordered to call a doctor as soon as possible. Scarlet ordered the servants to take Joshua to her room. With tears in her eyes, the sister asked the Duchess why she cared about her. The brown-haired woman was sure that being the wife of the Duke and the mistress of the estate, she should have despised the dirty harlot. Erica said she was very happy that her sister became a duchess. The brown-haired woman said that she had no idea how much envy she felt. A little taken aback, Scarlet asked how her little sister found out about Joshua. The girl realized that the brown-haired woman was sure that she lived happily ever after and did not need anything. Erica said that while walking around the estate, she saw a beautiful girl standing away from everyone. The brown-haired woman explained that the person did not look like a maid, and she asked who she was. The girl said that Lady Moore told her everything. The sister was furious that the blonde was chasing the Duke and arrogantly ignoring everyone, as if she were the mistress here. The brown-haired girl was furious that her sister treated the commoner like a duchess. The girl was sure that her sister did not understand what she was doing. The Duchess stopped her little sister and asked her to follow her. Scarlet led her sister into the room and locked the door. The girl explained to the brown-haired girl that everything was not at all as she had expected. Erica said that she would not allow the guy's mistress to take him away from her sister. The brown-haired woman asked her sister not to pretend that everything was normal. The girl clarified whether her parents knew about this. The sister assured that if the parents had known that the Duke would turn out to be such a person, they would never have allowed Scarlett to marry him. Angry, the Duchess explained that her father knew about everything. The girl said that he himself insisted on this wedding, since the Duke promised their father to provide his children with a wonderful future. Tears appeared on Scarlett's face. She stated that she was sold because of this. The girl assured that her father did this for the sake of the future of Jonathan and his little sister. The brown-haired woman asked her sister if her mother had found out about this. The girl said that if her mother had known about this, she would not have sent her daughter to this place. The student offered to tell the woman everything. The aristocrat said that it was pointless, because the woman herself could not do anything. The Duchess guessed that the Baroness was not her biological mother. Scarlett gently stroked her sister's cheek and asked her not to worry or be angry with Joshua. The girl explained that the blonde was a victim like herself. Erica burst into tears and clarified why her sister said this. The brown-haired woman could not understand why her father did this. And why did my sister insist that everything was fine? With calmness, the Duchess assured that everything was indeed in order and promised to handle everything. Scarlett realized that she had to deal with her problems herself so that no one else would suffer. The servants gathered in the hall, waiting for the mistress to arrive. Madame Moore asked the Duchess what she wanted to tell her. Scarlett said that she was very disappointed in the woman. The girl explained that she trusted Eric, and she dared to tell the little girl about the personal affairs of the Huntington family. The Duchess was shocked that she had demonstrated her loyalty in such a way. With her eyes downcast, Madame Moore said that the little girl was very persistent and constantly questioned her. The woman said she had no other choice. Breaking into a scream, the aristocrat asked what kind of stupid excuses she was saying. Scarlett recalled that she had her own head on her shoulders. The Duchess explained that the servants had no right to divulge information about the master's personal life to anyone and cause a stir. The girl was amazed that she dared to call herself a manager. Scarlett said that as the mistress of the estate, she could not turn a blind eye to such things. The Duchess rudely threw a bag of coins, saying that this should cover the cost of the hotel. Gold coins scattered across the floor with a jingle. The girl asked the manager to leave the estate for a while and think about her behavior. Madame Moore was amazed that she was being driven out of the estate. The woman recalled that she had spent her entire life here, taking care of Samuel since childhood. The manager reported that the Huntington estate was her home. Scarlett reported that she was deeply mistaken, and that the woman was just an ordinary governess. The girl said that Madame Moore would not return to the estate until she was allowed to do so. The Duchess ordered the maids to take the woman outside. Wriggling in the arms of the young girls, the woman said that the mistress could not do this to her. The manager begged the girl not to do this. Scarlett asked the butler how Joshua felt. The man reported that everything was fine and she was not seriously injured, but because of her shocked state, she refused to eat. The Duchess ordered to be brought to the blonde's room. When she entered the room, she saw the blonde sitting on the bed and shaking all over. Scarlett tenderly said the girl's name and asked for forgiveness. Our heroine sat down next to her and asked if everything was okay. The Duchess insisted that her sister had misunderstood something. Scarlett gently patted the girl on the shoulder, trying to calm her down. The blonde said that there was no need to apologize, because she thought the same thing. Joshua reported that she heard this often, being the daughter of an ordinary peasant. Continuing to cry, the girl said that she was perfectly aware of everything, and asked not to pretend. The Duke's mistress was sure that her lover's wife also did not like her. Joshua recalled how she set her up and made her look bad. The blonde said that everyone hated her except Samuel. She was sure that only he was on her side. Scarlett admitted that at first she really hated her husband's mistress. The Duchess admitted that she tried to destroy her for self-affirmation. The girl asked the blonde for forgiveness, and bowing, she said that she should not have acted like that towards her. Joshua asked to bring the young Baroness, saying that she wanted to hear it from the baby. Lowering her eyes, the Duchess said that she would fulfill her request. Scarlett argued that first she must punish the true culprit of this incident. The Duchess said that her little sister believed Madame Moore's words. The owner said that the woman used the brown-haired woman to offend her. Scarlett explained that they were both deceived, because the woman thought that she could get away with it. The Duchess warned her husband's mistress that the woman would not leave her alone. The girl realized that Madame Moore was Samuel's governess, and that he treated her like a mother. Looking up, the blonde clarified what the Duchess was going to do. The butler asked if the girl was going to fire Madame Moore. Scarlett explained that the manager had done virtually nothing over the past few months. The Duchess assured that she received the same salary as the butler, despite the fact that he was the busiest person on the estate. She clarified whether the butler thought this was fair. Scarlett explained that Madame Moore was her husband's governess and was practically like a second mother to him. The girl reminded that the Duke had long grown up, and the woman had already fulfilled her role. The aristocrat noticed that the servants were abusing their position and let slip about the secrets of the master's personal life. The girl recalled that the employee told unnecessary things to her sister, who was a teenager who still lacked discretion. Scarlett clarified whether it is possible to keep a person near you who is not able to understand what can and cannot be said to a child. The Duchess was aware that Madame Moore cared for her husband as if she were her own son. Scarlett said that she did not intend to exhibit her without paying due respect. Therefore, she asked to provide her with generous pension payments and make sure that she gets home safe and sound. The butler asked what the lady would say to Samuel. The girl assured that she herself would report this incident to her husband. Embarrassed, the brown-haired woman asked for forgiveness. The Duchess asked the baby to make a sincere apology. Erica bowed sharply and asked to forgive her because she was stupid by believing other people's words and not understanding the situation. The girl assured that she had already realized her mistake. Lowering her eyes, the blonde warned that next time she would tell everything to Samuel. The guest promised not to do this again. Joshua said that she could go. The little girl walked out the door, looking carefully at her opponent. The Duchess said that she had fired Madame Moore and that she had been fired and was going home. The Duke's mistress could not believe that she would never see the greyhound and insolent maid again. The blonde shared that the woman constantly humiliated her, and it was unbearable. Joshua shared that when she broke some rule, Madame Moore immediately complained to the master and she was punished. The girl said that at those moments she wanted to fall through the ground. The blonde couldn't understand why the manager hated her. Joshua had no idea what she had ever done wrong. The Duchess explained that the woman treated Samuel as her own child, and it was common for the mother to hate all her beloved sons. Angry, Joshua reminded her that she was a servant, not the guy's mother. Looking hopefully at her rival, the blonde clarified whether everything would be all right. The girl was afraid that Samuel might get angry with the Duchess. The blonde clarified what would happen if the guy ordered Madame Moore to be returned. The captive said that her lover always asked her to be obedient. Scarlett promised to take care of it. The girl was worried that he might order the Duchess's sister to be expelled. Smiling, the girl asked whether the blonde was worried about her sister. With excitement, Joshua asked if she looked like she was crazy. The blonde explained that the baby was the mistress's sister. The Duchess admitted that she was more worried about her husband's mistress, since even a 5-year-old could beat her. The blonde recalled that the mistress's sister fought like a bandit. The brown-haired man looked sternly at his wife and asked why she fired Madame Moore. The guy was furious that she dared to do this without even telling him. Sam stated that she worked all her life on this estate long before he was born. The Duchess agreed that the woman was a good governess. Scarlett reported that she had completely lost her mind. The girl explained that she told her sister about the relationship between the Duke and Joshua. The guy, noticeably nervous, clarified how much the maid was talking about his life. Scarlett reported that the worker provoked the baby into a fight, and Joshua was slightly injured. The guy suddenly jumped up and asked his wife how his beloved could have gotten hurt. The Duchess assured that the blonde had no serious injuries. The wife assured that she immediately called the doctor and reprimanded Erica. The aristocrat assured that it was Madame Moore who started all this. The girl said it was unforgivable. Scarlett explained that if such an act was allowed to get away with this, then the rest of the servants might also begin to behave inappropriately. The Duke said that his wife was right and it couldn't be left like that. The brown-haired man was amazed because Madame Moore had never talked about anything like that. The guy suggested that with age she stopped being aware of her actions. Scarlett explained that she sincerely loved him and assured that she would live the rest of her life in the village in peace and quiet. The girl assured that the woman had allocated enough money as compensation. The Duchess hoped that the woman would realize all her mistakes. The aristocrat said that she should not have left Erica unattended and asked for forgiveness. The girl said that now the younger sister knew about everything and offered to send her back to her family. Sighing heavily, Sam said that he wanted to see his beloved and abruptly stood up. The Duke said that from now on the wife would be responsible for all the servants. The guy said that she should not allow rumors to spread. Scarlett sighed with relief and left the room. At the same moment, she was met by the butler. Lawrence, holding out several heavy books, said that he had found them in Madame Moore's room. The man admitted that he didn't know what to do about it. The lady clarified what the content of the scriptures was. The butler suggested that the writings were ancient books that had somehow survived. Lawrence admitted that at first he wanted to throw them away, but first he decided to show his mistress. The man explained that the Duke did not like to be disturbed while he was in Joshua's room. Lawrence said that he wanted the aristocrat to see them first. The Duchess asked to give her the scripture and promised to figure it out on her own. Nodding her head, the girl allowed the worker to begin his business. The man said that he would always be ready to serve my lady. After reading a few pages, Scarlett realized that the writings were indeed perfectly preserved. She was glad that everything ended well. Looking carefully at the pages, the girl realized that the book was clearly more than several decades old. Scarlett clutched the cover with trembling hands, and a slight trembling ran through her body. The Duchess realized that according to these records, the blonde had been taking herbs since she moved to the estate at the age of 6. The girl understood that those herbs restored her health, because when moving to the mansion, the blonde experienced severe weakness. Scarlett realized that when she began menstruation, the composition of the medicinal composition changed, and all the herbs in it stimulated ovulation. The girl realized that the child of the Duke's mistress would become the heir, and did not understand why he was rushing things. Scarlett could not understand why such a rush was needed. The blonde asked whether Samuel had entered into a relationship with that girl. The Archduke will assure you that you have already won Lady Huntington's trust, and she told him everything. George noticed that she, having learned about the existence of Joshua, could not come to terms with it and decided to get a divorce. The princess asked if I had changed Joshua yet. The blonde believed that everything was going that way. The woman explained that everything would become more complicated because the girl's father was the emperor himself. Events are transferred 2 decades ago. Frederick always had a violent and rebellious disposition, and he had an affair with Elizabeth, who was a close friend and maid of honor of the future empress. When the blonde became pregnant by the emperor, she left the palace, citing illness. Unfortunately, the naive empress simply let Elizabeth go. After the man ascended the throne, his wife was unable to get pregnant for a long time, and Elizabeth decided to take advantage of this. The girl assured that next time she would give the master an heir. The blonde asked in this case to make her empress. Frederick agreed to this condition and admitted that his wife, the future Grey Mouse, greatly irritated him. Elizabeth's second pregnancy did not go so smoothly, which made her worry. The blonde, holding out a small bottle, explained that the elixir contained special herbs and assured that they caused infertility. The girl assured that if her lover added them to the empress's tea, she would definitely give birth to a son. The empress, without suspecting anything, became infertile. A few years later, the brunette learned the truth thanks to Princess Amaryllis. The woman cried because she considered Elizabeth her friend, and could not understand when she could do this to her, put the empress out of her place, and vowed to kill the traitor. The blonde said that several years ago she swore an oath that she would strangle the emperor with her own hands. Amaryllis vowed that if they united, they could fulfill their common desire and offered to help each other. The princess asked to bring her the emperor's blood and nails. The blonde explained that her magical ability is the ability to create poisons. The girl shared that when Frederick ascended the throne, she was over 18 years old and therefore he could not deprive her of her powers. The blonde said that if he drinks poison, he will slowly lose his mind and will be completely under her control. The princess said that her friend promised to mix the mixture with Frederick, but in return she had to do something. Amaryllis explained that it was necessary to kill all of Elizabeth's unborn children. With a slight movement of his hand, the brunette finished off the woman. The young count's cloak was stained with bloody stains. The baby stood over the woman's body and begged her to wake up. The Archduke began to slowly draw his sword from its sheath, but the little girl saw himself. The knight invited the gentleman to deal with the child himself. The blonde stopped the guy and gently stroked the baby's silky hair. Soon the girl lost consciousness. A little taken aback, Louis asked why the gentleman did not carry out the order. George took the baby in his arms and said that the child was innocent of anything. The guy explained that despite the fact that the girl was still very young, she was still a relative of the imperial family. The brunette said that she should not be allowed to survive. The Archduke said that because of her gender she had no right to the throne. The guy, raising his bloody hand, said that the baby could grow up and give birth to children, and they could lay claim to the throne. The blonde asked not to worry about it, and promised to give the girl the decoction that the empress drank right away and promised to sort it out. The guy said that if the gentleman wants to avoid possible consequences, then he should kill her at that very moment. George offered to leave the girl with the guy and asked him to take her to the estate and not allow anyone to see her. The blonde explained that no one should be allowed to find out about her origin. The count clarified whether the gentleman wanted him to settle the baby in his house. George promised to kill the emperor and take his place. The guy said that Samuel was the only one he could trust. The princess was taken aback when she learned that her brother had saved the life of the emperor's marriage child. The blonde said that the baby was only 6 years old. The guy explained that Samuel would give her the same herbs that the empress took. The archduke explained that after the baby becomes infertile, she will be married to an ordinary peasant. Amaryllis said that her brother's action was too risky and not thought out. The girl assumed that Samuel would love the baby and would not want to let her go. The guy explained that after his mother's death, his friend was the only one left with him. George assured that he would trust the duke with his life. The little girl burst into tears and said that she was very scared. The blonde covered her face with her hands and tried to hide from her mother's killer. The duke suggested that the blonde had a terrible dream again and said that there was nothing wrong with it. Sam promised to protect her and assured her that there was nothing to be afraid of. Handing over a mug of tea, the guy asked Joshua to drink some medicine that would help her. The brown-haired man assured that if she drinks this, she will grow up healthy and will no longer have nightmares. The duke asked her to grow up quickly because Uncle Samuel loved her very much. Breaking into a scream, the guy explained that his friend had betrayed them and wanted to get the throne. George could not understand why his old friend put off the attempt on his life for 14 years. The blonde explained that he knows that he will have more rights to the throne. The guy realized that after Joshua's son ascended the throne, Samuel would rule the empire as regent. The blonde said that then the duke's heir himself would become a full-fledged emperor. The archduke realized that Samuel would kill anyone who stood in his way. Events moved to the Huntington estate. The girl rushed from side to side trying to understand what it could be that she didn't know. Scarlett realized that something was wrong with the duke and his relationship with Joshua. The girl assumed that it was because of this that the blonde tried to get so close to her. The Duchess was determined to find out what her husband was hiding. Scarlett realized that if she found out his secret, she could use this information against him. Events 14 years ago. The blonde asked why he couldn't kill the emperor now. The friend recalled that he was only 15 years old and could no longer use his magic. The brown-haired man explained that if he came to the throne at the same time, the lords would not be able to take him seriously, and, as a result, chaos would begin in the state. Amaryllis warned the guys that they should be most wary of the lords from the imperial faction. The princess explained that, driven by hatred of the guy, they could have started a coup. Sam informed her ladyship that she had not spent much time in Kingsley and did not know the capital very well. The guy said that the emperor, who had been in the empire not so long ago and did not have magical powers, would be very easy to kill. The blonde said that having lost his magical abilities, his brother also lost his power. The girl warned that he without abilities could easily fail. Lowering his eyes, George reminded that the throne legally belongs to the eldest of the brothers. The guy did not intend to forget about the son of the Princess Duke Birkin. The blonde realized that if someone tried to deprive him of his right to the throne, then absolute hell would reign in the country. The Duke said that as a representative of the faction of lords, he would turn society against Frederick and make sure that the guy was warmly received as the new emperor. Samuel said that he intended to win the sympathy of the people before overthrowing the old ruler. The blonde clarified how long it would take. Grinning, the Duke said that it would take at least a decade. The guy explained that during this time the emperor would have time to grow old, and it would be possible to attribute everything to natural death. Amaryllis supported, saying that this would look more convincing than the sudden death of a young and healthy ruler. The princess said that he was in her power as long as he drank poison. The girl admitted that she was not as powerful as before. Kingsley wondered if they would suspect something was wrong if the emperor became weak-willed like a rag doll. The blonde said that it may seem strange that immediately after the wedding, the health of their ruler began to deteriorate sharply. The princess said that they needed help. Hot coffee was overturned on the table and flowed down in small drops. The emperor's grate of foam slowly flowed out. The servant informed His Highness that his beloved had arrived. The brunette asked who he was talking about and assumed that he had forgotten her. Merlin sat down next to the emperor and hugged him tenderly. The princess supported that he said that he could not look at any woman except Milady Tankville. The blonde grinned and said that he loved the brunette. Sitting comfortably on his lap, Merlin said that she loved him too. The blonde said that it would be strange if the emperor suddenly stopped paying attention to other ladies, because everyone knew how strong his relationship with the empress was. Amaryllis said that this should be dealt with. With a wince, the girl agreed with her partner's opinion, saying that she could not allow the emperor to date other women. 13 years have passed since the previous events. The guy asked how long they would have to wait. The blonde said that the entire aristocracy mocked the current emperor. The Archduke reported that the people despised Frederick. The guy asked his friend how long they would delay this. The brown-haired man recalled that his friend did not stay in the capital for so long. George asked his friend not to make things up and reminded him that the nobles were on his side. The princess, glooming, told the Duke that they had been waiting for many years. Amaryllis asked the guy why he was making up all these ridiculous excuses. The Duke reported that their plan was treason and explained that caution in this case would not hurt. The guy couldn't understand where the friends were in such a hurry because the power was so in their hands. The princess asked Samuel not to make her suspect him. The Archduke explained that he had heard some rumors about his relationship with Joshua. The guy, looking gloomy, asked his lordship if he really thought that he would dare to touch the child. George said that the blonde was no longer a child. She was already 20 years old. The brown-haired man recalled that his friend himself asked him to hide the baby in his mansion. Samuel was aware from the very beginning that ordinary people could misunderstand and did not understand how his friends could suspect him. The Archduke said that everyone was just gossiping about the fact that his friend slept with that girl. Offended, the brown-haired man said that he knew that he would not believe him. The blonde suggested that Joshua was seducing the guy. Sam couldn't understand how he could say something like that to him because he couldn't kick her out of the mansion because of his order. The Duke recalled that the guy himself asked Joshua to hide from prying eyes. And because of this, the people invented something that did not exist. The blonde asked whether he had never thought about such a thing. Losing his temper, Sam asked how he could doubt him. Sighing heavily, the Archduke explained that he never doubted his friend, but he did everything to make them doubt him. And he asked the guy if Joshua showed feelings for him, then he needed to cool her ardor. Sam asked how he could do this and suggested that he should use magic. The blonde asked his friend to get married. The guy was sure that the girl behaved dissolutely only because there was no mistress in the estate. George explained that if he marries another woman, Joshua will lose all interest in him. The princess recommended that he arrange his personal life. Amaryllis asked the brown-haired man if it was time for him to get married. Confused, the guy agreed that something was right, and his estate needed a mistress. After the Duke of Huntington's wedding, the blonde asked the knight to watch the guy with his bride. George asked him to find out what the relationship was between the couple. The Archduke explained that if Sam has a mistress, it will be noticeable in his behavior. Events moved to the present time in the imperial palace. The blonde said that quite a lot of time had passed since then, and his fears were confirmed. The princess clarified whether the girl they spared was pregnant. Amaryllis explained that if Samuel fell in love with her, it did not mean that he betrayed the guy. The woman recalled that the brown-haired man was highly respected in secular society, and doubted that he could have acted so rashly. The princess explained that Huntington had lived at the Kingsley and Birkin estates longer than them. Amaryllis noticed that the guy's influence in the capital had also increased. The woman said that first she needed to make sure that Joshua took the herbs that caused infertility. The blonde offered to deal with the traitor after clarifying the situation. George supported his sister by saying that first they needed to find out whether Joshua was infertile. The guy said that he would try to take advantage of Scarlett's trust. The princess said that in order to implement such a plan, the Duke must be away from his wife. The woman offered to distract Sam's attention. The bright rays of the sun hit the blonde's eyes. The girl happily jumped out of bed and rubbed her eyes. The blonde no longer saw Scarlett as a rival. The Duchess clarified whether her husband had left. The guy's mistress said that he left the estate not so long ago. Having opened the lid, the blonde realized that her lover had left her this rubbish again. The blonde did not want to drink a decoction of bitter herbs. To cheer up your beloved, you left a small note on the tray. Sharply knocking the cup out of Joshua's hands, the Duchess asked if she knew what this medicine was. The blonde said that this remedy would help her give birth to a healthy child. Scarlett asked why she so wanted to get pregnant from a guy. Smiling, Joshua explained that she was madly in love with the brown-haired man. The girl could not understand what was wrong with wanting a child from her lover. The Duchess clarifies whether the girl really wanted a child from Samuel. The blonde assured that her lover wanted this too. The girl assured that it would be a great happiness for anyone to give birth to a child from a beloved man. Scarlett asked what would happen if the baby was taken away from the blonde. Having lowered her eyes, the mistress said that she could not do anything about it because she was an ordinary orphan. The Duchess recalled that if a moment ago she claimed that this would be the greatest happiness for her. The girl asked her mistress what would happen when she gave birth to a child who would have the ducal title. The commoner naively assumed that she would become the mother of a duke. Scarlett explained that if we find out why the young duke had non-aristocratic blood flowing, then the child's life would be in danger. The girl asked if he recognized Joshua as his mother. The Duchess explained that if she gives birth to a daughter, the baby will not be able to become an heir. Scarlett explained that if Samuel secretly allowed his beloved to raise their daughter, the aristocrat said that if the groundhog wants to sleep with her, she will give birth to a son. The Duchess suggested that her husband might want to make him his heir. The blonde dropped the cup and said that this would not happen, and she would not be able to get pregnant. The hot drink quickly spread across the floor. Fragments scattered several meters away. Joshua assured that her lover gave the girl herbs for infertility. The Duchess, turning very pale, asked what she meant. The mistress explained that her lover brought them yesterday and ordered the doctor to brew an elixir from them. The aristocrat was horrified that the prescribed medicine turned out to be an elixir of infertility. Scarlett covered her mouth with her hand to keep from screaming. The blonde asked her rival not to try to come between them. The girl was furious that she dared to come between her and her lover. Joshua ordered the Duchess not to speak ill of Sam. The Duchess calmly rose from the bed and said that she could believe him if it made her feel even a little better. Scarlett asked the girl to think about her future. The girl explained that Madame Moore hated him because she dared to become the mistress of an aristocrat. The Duchess recalled that her beloved girl only told her to obey the woman instead of protecting her. The girl was amazed that she could call it love. Scarlett said that if he really loved Joshua, he would have raised her as his daughter. The aristocrat said that the blonde could marry a worthy man. She was sure that every sane adult would do this. Scarlett explained that the blonde could marry a good man and live a normal life, and could walk down the street with a family who loved her. The girl reminded her that Sam locked her in this house where everyone hated her. The Duchess was sure that the brown-haired man wanted his mistress to give birth to children who would not even be able to call her mother. The aristocrat, rising from the bed, said that she could continue to live in illusion and believe what Sam said. The girl asked Joshua to just think about her words. Scarlett was sure that when the blonde had a child, she herself would understand this, but then she would no longer be able to leave the estate. The girl carefully combed her hair, trying to distract herself from bad thoughts. Entering the room, the brown-haired woman said that the lady had brought some medicine that the doctor had prescribed. The maid recommended that the girl drink it while the contents were still warm. Scarlett coldly asked to leave the medicine on the table and leave her alone. The girl turned away and left the room. The brown-haired man noticed that his beloved broke the cup and asked him to be careful. Sam handed her a new cup with its contents and recommended that she drink it while it was still hot. The guy carefully suggested that the blonde buy more dolls. The aristocrat said that it was time for him to go and wished the girl good night. When the door slammed, the blonde quickly ran to the sink and poured out the contents of the cup. Scarlett was furious that her husband tried to pass off herbs for the development of infertility as a healing decoction. She couldn't understand what was on her husband's mind. Having poured the contents into the sink, the Duchess realized that her husband really did not want children from her and wanted to make the child Joshua his heir. The aristocrat looked sadly at her reflection. She realized that Sam was obsessed with Joshua, but the reason was different. The Duchess wanted to find out what her husband was up to. The girls stood in a mass when the hall was filled with light live music. Scarlett could only look with envy at the couples who kissed and danced with passion. The Duchess decided to go to the restroom because she had nothing to do in such a place. Someone came up and put his arm around her waist. The blonde noticed that the earrings he gave her suited her very well. George invited the girl to go to the restroom together. The Archduke told his beloved that he knew one secluded place. Scarlett wondered whether she should tell her boyfriend that her husband had been drugging her and Joshua. The door slowly closed, plunging the small room into darkness. George hovered over the girl and tried to touch her tender lips. The Duchess asked the blonde to stop. The guy asked why she didn't like masks so much. He removed the party props from his face. Closing her eyes, Scarlett explained that she had to tell him something. She recalled that the Archduke asked to inform him if Samuel's mistress became pregnant. The guy nervously asked if this had happened. The aristocrat explained that this could happen soon. Scarlett reported that her husband gave his mistress a decoction of herbs that stimulated ovulation. The Duchess said that her husband began to do this since the blonde began menstruation. The guy's face quickly turned pale and despair was visible in his eyes. He asked his friend to repeat what he had said. She suggested that Joshua was in very poor health as a child, so menstruation began quite late and only after taking all kinds of medications. The Duchess reported that Samuel began to give her decoctions that increased fertility. The girl suggested that her husband wanted her to get pregnant as soon as possible. The aristocrat noticed how her companion's face darkened as if he wanted to kill someone. The blonde wiped his face with his hand, trying to hide his emotions. George called his former friend a complete bastard. She said with some excitement that this was not all. Scarlett reported that her husband tried to make her infertile by adding some nasty stuff under the guise of healthy nutritional supplements. Pressing her against the wall, the blonde asked whether she drank this drink. The girl said that she poured everything into the sink while no one was in her room. Scarlett assured that she had no intention of drinking it. Holding the girl tightly to himself, the blonde said something clever and rejoiced that everything worked out. The Archduke admitted that his heart almost stopped when he heard this. Scarlett couldn't understand why he was so worried about it, as if he cared about her. The girl cheered herself up, realizing that a little later this would play into her hands. The Duchess decided to become a little closer to him. She told George that she was scared because he was the only one she could trust. The blonde thanked her for her honesty and kissed her passionately, pressing her against the wall. Soon the guy pressed her to the floor and continued passionate kisses. The girl inadvertently remembered that kiss in the garden with Louis, and a few moments later pushed the Duke away. Scarlett suggested that if her rival gets pregnant, he is going to use this as proof of his infidelity. She recalled that George himself said that there was no better reason for divorce than the presence of an illegitimate child. The blonde assured that this was the pure truth. The girl said that she did not want the blonde to get pregnant, but for her to run away and become free before this happened. The Archduke clarified why his beloved was worried about that girl. The Duchess said that she was the same victim as she. She explained that she hated her husband because he treated her like a thing that he could dispose of as he pleased. She said that Joshua was another similar toy, and she wanted the blonde to meet someone who would truly love her and give the child to a worthy person of her own free will. Scarlett said that she just wanted to help the girl, and so that the child from the Duke would not become a burden for her. The blonde admitted that the more he got to know her, the more convinced he became that she was a special woman. Grinning, the Duchess clarified what kind of special woman she was, and suggested that her peculiarity was that she was not so easy to break, unlike the others. Scarlett clarified what was unusual about the fact that she looked at the world soberly. The girl clarified whether he wanted to flatter her by elevating her above other females. Scarlett said that every day she saw girls who were deprived of the opportunity to study and choose their own path. She suggested that it was great to be a man and enjoy his advantageous position in society. Putting on a mask, the Duchess followed the exit. The Duchess recalled that George was just as arrogant and self-confident. The girl said that she was not in the mood to spend time with such a person and said goodnight. Laughing, the blonde assumed that he had ruined everything again. Kneeling down, the guy asked for forgiveness for his terrible behavior full of arrogance. George asked whether he deserved punishment for this. Embarrassed, the blonde gently took off her black glove with his teeth. He assumed that if the girl hit him with her hand, she would be able to knock his arrogance down. Scarlett assumed that the Archduke liked it when she was cold and unapproachable. The girl explained that if he wanted this punishment, then this would already be a reward. The Duchess realized that she should be more careful with the guy and suggested returning to the banquet. Scarlett said that it would be unfair to other couples to just occupy this room. She quickly walked towards the exit and opened the door. The girl ran into Louis and was speechless. She realized what had happened in the restroom, and after a few moments covered her face with her hand. Scarlett hoped her lipstick didn't smear. The brunette approached her, gently touched her chin and turned to Milady. The Archduke arrogantly asked the girl not to say that she was going to enjoy a masquerade with another gentleman. The girl clarified whether it was prohibited to spend time at the ball with several men. Grinning, George suggested that it would be better to choose the most worthy of the applicants. The blonde admitted that he did not want his beloved to belong to someone else. Scarlett explained that she had the right to decide this on her own, and glanced briefly at the knight. As the guy watched the Duchess go, He realized that she knew how to disappoint. When the girl was out of sight, the Archduke announced that he had fallen in love with her. George had no idea that she was his type. The blonde said that the Duchess intrigued him more and more. Soon the girl entered the hall filled with light music. There was a subtle sadness on Scarlett's face. The man touched her shoulder and asked if he could invite her to dance, explaining that such a beautiful lady could not stand alone. Smiling, the Duchess said that she was waiting for someone and quickly left. Peering into the distance of the room, the Duchess hoped that her lover would come. She realized that the masquerade was the only event where you can forget about titles and reputation, and just surrender to your feelings. Suddenly, someone grabbed the girl by the shoulder and pressed her tightly against the wall. Scarlett hoped that the brunette had come to have a great time with her on this wonderful holiday. The man looked at her with a grin and hugged her tightly. The aristocrat didn't like that, yes. First she shot at him with her eyes and then ran away. His hands began to fall lower and lower, touching his waist and legs. The Duchess furiously hit the insolent man. The brown-haired man was furious that he got such an obstinate partner. The man threw it over his shoulder and headed towards the restroom. The skinny girl beat him with her hands and feet and begged him to let go. Realizing that her actions were useless, the girl began to call for help. A few moments later, she saw her husband and hoped that he would help her. Samuel glanced at his wife and continued to hug the other girl with pleasure. The pervert grinned and said that this was male solidarity. Scarlett realized that she could not allow this to happen. She grabbed onto the door frame with all her might. The man asked her to continue, explaining that he loved it when girls resisted. The aristocrat rudely threw her onto the floor of the restroom. The Duchess's entire body began to tremble violently from pain and fear. The aristocrat said that because of this he loved such an event because he could do anything. The door slowly closed, and with the dim rays of light, Scarlett's hope was extinguished. A small hand squeezed through the crack of the door and the savior furiously hit the man, knocking off his mask. With ragged breathing and contempt, the brunette looked at his lover's offender. The man asked what the brunette was doing. There was fear on the Baron's face, and his cheek was swollen after a powerful blow. Louis reminded the pervert that he had been divorced 3 times because of his terrible treatment of women. Brunet suggested calling witnesses to confirm his words in the presence of guards. Picking up his mask, the Baron quickly left the scene. After closing the door, the knight checked with his beloved if everything is okay. Scarlett's whole body was trembling and her breathing was heavy and ragged. Louis carefully helped his beloved get up from the floor and led her to a soft sofa. Taking off the mask from her face, the brunette saw hot tears that were slowly rolling down the victim's cheeks. The guy gently hugged the Duchess, suggesting that he should have come much earlier and asked for forgiveness. Louis held her body, trembling with stress, tightly to him. She was sure that the savior would not appear. The guy reminded me that she was calling him for help. He pressed her even tighter to him, informing her that he was already nearby. Scarlett took a small brooch from his chest and kissed him passionately. Very embarrassed, the Duchess noticed that the brunette was very strange, because he came in and came as soon as he ordered her. The Duchess said that when she asks for help, he immediately comes. She said that she no longer wanted to believe in love, but he made her doubt it. The girl quickly began to take off her luxurious dress. Scarlett suggested that we could try again. Lowering his eyes, the brunette said that he had to confess something to her. The guy said that he helped her that day for a reason and simply acted on orders. The knight explained that he was ordered to get closer to her and find out what her relationship with Samuel Huntington was. The brunette admitted that it was his master's will, and when she injured her leg and left the banquet, he followed her on purpose. Louis even at that moment noticed that the Countess avoided people. From this he realized that no, not everything was so smooth with her husband. The brunette admitted that he reported this to the gentleman. The brunette said that for this reason George tried to win her affection. The knight believed that the Archduke knew that their marriage was built on a lie. The girl's hands shook and she asked if George knew about everything. Louis said that he did not tell the master everything. Not only what happened between them happened on his personal initiative. The Duchess clarified why he did this and suggested that he felt sorry for her, or that he simply decided to have fun, sharply hitting his hand. Scarlett said that of course she was a stupid girl who was ready to give him body and soul. The Duchess assumed that he was amused by her confused appearance. The girl said that he had nothing to be ashamed of about the neckline of the dress, because she also used it for her own purposes. The aristocrat admitted that she did not want to give her first time to such a person as Samuel. She assured that he very successfully turned up under her arm, and if there had been someone else in his place, she would have chosen him. Scarlett assured that if it were the Archduke, she would only be glad, because in that case her husband would be furious. The girl coldly thanked the knight for telling her the truth, and promised not to harbor vain hopes anymore. The guy suddenly jumped up from the floor and said his beloved's name. The aristocrat asked whether the gentleman knew that Louis called her by name. The Duchess assumed that he only took care of her all the time because the blonde wished it so. Falling to his knees, Louis assured that everything was not like that at all. Smiling, Scarlett assumed that the brunette simply sympathized with her, or wanted to touch her body again. She dared to suggest that she had never really been attracted to him. The Duchess was sure that the guy was a young man with a sweet face and a beautiful body who was just an errand boy. The girl did not hesitate to compare it to candy eaten out of boredom. The brunette gently took her hand and asked her to continue using him for her own purposes. Louis took off his jacket with a slight movement of his hand, revealing a luxurious torso covered with many scars. The brunette explained that if there is someone in the world who wants to push her around, then there must be someone who wants to become a toy. Smiling, the knight asked his beloved to show him all the passion that had been accumulating in her heart for many months. The guy, noticing the misunderstanding on her face, said that this event was an excellent place to find a lover. Louis advised his beloved to have fun just like the capital's ladies. The brunette assured that he would come when she ordered and leave when she wished. The knight assured that he would wait until she needed her. The guy said that if the mistress is disgusted by the thought of love, then he is ready to become her toy. And he explained that she could use it, and then throw it away when she got bored. The brunette assured that he would do everything so that she could relax for a while. Scarlett remembered how he carefully removed that heavy necklace so that she could rest for a while. Confused, the Duchess asked if he wanted to become her dog. The guy said that he was ready to fulfill any of her wishes. The lady quickly walked towards the luxurious sofa and asked the brunette to prove it. The Duchess ordered him to kiss his feet at that very moment. She suggested that the guy would not be allowed to do this by his pride. A few moments later, the knight crawled up to her and began to carry out the order. The brunette asked the lady what she wanted next. A little confused, she asked if he had lost his dignity. With calmness, the knight assured that everything depended only on her. If she orders, she will take care of her honor, but at her request, he is ready to forget about everything. Louis will inform you that he is waiting for her further instructions. Scarlett asked if he would undress if she ordered. Confusion was visible on the aristocrat's face. The brunette clarified whether she really wanted him to undress completely. The Duchess, a little hesitant, gave an affirmative answer. With a slight movement of his hand, he unfastened his belt and soon removed all the rest of his clothes. Very embarrassed, the lady ordered to come as close as possible. The knight gently picked her up in his arms, looking into her deep sky-blue eyes. The girl ordered him to kiss her. The brunette placed her on a small sofa, hovered over her and gave her passionate kisses. The girl said that from that moment he could do whatever he wanted. Soon the relaxation room was filled with the smell of love and moans of pleasure. The mask fell to the floor with a clink, but the couple didn't care at all. After completing this act, Scarlett lay down on the brunette's massive chest and almost fell asleep. A little embarrassed, the Duchess assumed that he had sent that beautiful ring for her. Louis explained that it seemed to him that his beloved really liked the jewelry. The girl asked if he had always been so silent and would not even brag about his gift. The knight admitted that he had no other women before her. Scarlett clarified whether she was also his first. The guy said that his first time happened that evening. Louis was sure that if there were a more experienced person in his place, she would not have to cry so much. The Duchess clarified whether she really looked so terrible, and this was the reason why he was so kind to her. Louis hesitated a little, not knowing what to answer correctly. The brunette clarified whether she wanted to hear something that would calm her down or for him to be sincere with her. The guy carefully threw his jacket over the shoulders of his beloved so that she would not freeze. Scarlett realized that if she didn't stop, it would be too late, but she could not understand the reason for her doubts. Turning away, the Duchess said that she did not expect a serious answer, and thanked him for that day. The girl slowly began to take off his cape, but the brunette came up from behind and held her tightly to himself. The brunette said that at that moment it seemed to him that the refusal would break her heart into many pieces. Louis noticed that his beloved was repeating the fate of his mother. Scarlett, with pain in her heart, remembered that sad story of how a woman, unable to bear the shame, committed suicide. At that moment, Louis tried to bring his mother to her senses by showing a drawing of his little sister, and said that they had brought her favorite candy. Turning away, the brown-haired woman thanked her son for his concern, and said that she was just a little tired. Mom asked her kids to play temporarily in another room. The guy tried all sorts of ways in the hope that the person closest to him would soon be able to smile again. The husband yelled at the woman, asking how long this would last, because she was indifferent to everything. The brunette said that it was her own fault because she went out into the street in an inappropriate manner. The husband assured that if she had dressed more modestly, nothing would have happened. Trembling all over, the woman turned away and ran out of the room. Louis tried to stop her, but the mother ran into the room and roughly slammed the door, leaving the baby all alone. The brunette begged her not to cry, saying that he was still next to her. The son invited her to take a walk and said that the younger sister wanted to go to the lake with her. At one point, the guy heard the sound of a fall, which caused his body to tremble. The brunette turned to his mother in a hysterical voice and opened the door. When the boy entered the room, he saw an empty balcony and his mother's luxurious dress. Soon there were screams from the servants below and requests to call a doctor as soon as possible. Soon a panicked voice reported that the woman was no longer breathing. The boy looked at what was happening with pain in his eyes. The knight admitted that after that incident, he thought many times about whether he could save a woman who faced male cruelty. Holding Scarlett tightly to himself, the brunette admitted that he still had not found the answer. Louis admitted that on that day his decision to help the girl seemed right to him. He explained that he did not want his beloved to fall into the abyss of despair, and because of this, he tried to protect her. The brunette explained that he wanted to watch the girl fight again and again. The guy said that he was proud that despite all life's difficulties, she still goes towards her goals, making her way through thorns. Louis hoped that he could at least reduce her suffering a little. The brunette said that she could call him at any moment if it suddenly became difficult for her, even if he had to become her toy. The knight said that the most important thing for him was so that she finds all the strength to live another day. He said that he would gladly do whatever she ordered. The Duchess silently kissed her assistant with passion. The blonde walked along the long corridors and realized that the night was delayed quite a bit. George realized that it did not look like the brunette at all, and assumed that he was lost in the endless labyrinths of long corridors. Looking through the slightly open door, he asked what they were doing while he was gone. Marilyn, embarrassed, asked the Archduke if he was behind the mask. The blonde said that he did not know that they were having an affair. The brunette explained that anything could happen at the masquerade ball. A little taken aback, George said that they were right and anything could happen at such holidays. The guy patted the Duke on the shoulder, saying that he needed to talk to him. The woman grinned and said that she sincerely hoped to see the brown-haired man again. Sam, very embarrassed, looked at his lover. The blonde asked his friend if he was allowing himself too much. He had just recently gotten married but was already looking at Lady Tankville. The Duke specified which man would spend time with his wife at the masquerade ball. The brown-haired woman suggested that the wife could spend time with someone else. Sam said that the brunette interested him and they just wanted to have a little fun. The guy suggested that she was tired of caring for the old emperor and she also needed to relax sometimes. He justified himself by saying that people should help each other. Sam asked since when his friend had condemned him for such things. The blonde said that his friend was right, and they had a different relationship. The guy asked if he remembered the time they spent in Kingsley. George recalled that at that time he could not see his sister, and there was no one nearby whom he could trust. The Archduke assured that he valued him as his own brother more than his own life. Wary, the brown-haired man asked why he suddenly decided to remember the epic. Putting a mask on his face, the guy noticed that he had become too sentimental and assured that he would always be on his side, right up to his ascension to the throne. The brown-haired man reminded him that he would always be there to support his friend. George remembered the words of his beloved, and realized that his former friend had decided to stand in his way. The Archduke many years ago when he entrusted Joshua to him, realizing that he trusted his friend very much, and he has since come up with everything. The guy was sure that Sam decided to take advantage of his kindness and have you sit on the throne. While the Archduke drove away any doubts and suspicions, the brown-haired man dreamed of killing him and taking his place. George realized that for this the brown-haired man was ready to destroy the life of an innocent girl. The guy calmly suggested ending this evening of memories and returning to the hall. Sam grinned and suggested that the blonde seduce the fair sex. The blonde, putting on his mask, reminded his friend that he had recently been married. Laughing, the Duke said that bachelor life also had its own charm. George put his hand on his friend's shoulder and asked permission to give him advice. The guy advised Sam to be careful with women. The Archduke promised, looking at him. He thinks that one day one of the ladies will stab him in the back. Laughing, the brown-haired man asked his friend if he was worried about him. The guy grinned and said that he was waiting for this to happen so he could watch this spectacle. A little confused, the brown-haired man was amazed by such jokes. With a gloomy expression, George said that this was not a joke at all. When the Duke left, the blonde man saw him off with a look of hatred. Throwing on his clothes, the knight said that it was time for him to leave. Louis said that if they left the break room together, they might attract unwanted attention. The brunette asked his beloved to wait a little in this place before leaving. Putting a mask on his face and straightening his shirt, the guy left the room and looked around. Soon he noticed his master and approached him. The Archduke said that it was time for them to return, since he still needed to chat with his sister. George assured that his days were numbered if he continued to act in the same spirit. The blonde explained that he was talking about Samuel Huntington. The guy asked the knight to find out through Scarlet whether the brown-haired man really betrayed him. George sympathized with the Duchess because she was very unlucky with her husband. For several moments, deathly silence hung in the long corridors. Grinning, the Archduke said that he wanted to finish off his old friend without wasting a moment. The blonde admitted that he was grateful that he had never touched Scarlet. The guy suggested that the knight would find it funny that he was worried about such things. He admitted that he hasn't been like himself lately. The Archduke assured that if he did something to the girl, he would not be able to restrain himself. George said that just thinking about it made him want to cut off Sam's hands. Noticing the gloomy expression on Louis's face, the guy assumed that he had no idea that he liked such girls. The blonde said that he himself did not expect that he would turn out to be such an owner. The aristocrats looked with pleasure at the exquisite outfits. The rack contained many exquisite perfumes. Scarlet said that the next ball will be her younger sister's debut in secular society. The Duchess said that Erica needed to find a suitable dress for this. The girl, with her eyes downcast, practically did not listen to the words of her older sister. Noticing the baby's anxiety, she asked what was wrong. "Look down." The Baroness said that she just wanted to apologize to her. The Duchess looked at her younger sister in surprise and clarified why she wanted to apologize. Erica was ashamed that while she was suffering at the Duke's estate, she was having fun. The girl realized that the brown-haired woman had been sad ever since she had a fight with Joshua. Scarlet took her younger sister by the hand and assured her that everything was fine, and that she should think about her own future. The Duchess recalled that now the younger sister knew that her father also could not be trusted, and mindlessly obey his demands by following orders. The older sister asked the brown-haired girl to develop critical thinking and evaluate the situation on her own. Scarlet recalled how naive she was when she married the man her parents chose for her. The Duchess asked her never to repeat her mistakes. Erica thanked her sister and asked for forgiveness again. The girl said that no matter what happened, she could always turn to her for help. With tears in her eyes, the brown-haired woman thanked her, saying that she could always count on her. Scarlet assured that if she liked someone at the ball, she could contact her. The Baroness asked if the older sister liked anyone. The girl recalled that in the capital, even married men allowed themselves to go on dates. The Duchess again remembered those nights that she spent with the brunette, and looked at the luxurious ring that he gave her. The girl's face flushed bright red. Scarlet reminded herself that she would definitely get a divorce, and, with the help of George, would soon achieve her freedom. She longed to go her own way without tying the knot. The Duchess never wanted to get married again, but she didn't want to be alone either. Erica turned to the girl, breaking her out of her dreams. The Duchess was very embarrassed, as if the baby could read her thoughts. Pointing her finger at the rack, the brown-haired woman said that the dress was very beautiful and asked if she could try it on. Smiling, Scarlet assured that she could try on whatever she liked. He looked at the dress that was behind the rack, and the Duchess was amazed at the maturity and elegance of the outfit. The Duchess stopped the brown-haired woman with a stern and stubborn no. The Baroness was very confused, but I remember that she already had quite a lot of dresses. The girl strictly said that it did not suit Erica's age. She explained that she still needs to grow up a little to wear this. The brown-haired woman pointed her finger at the modest pink dress and asked whether her older sister liked it. Having received approval, the Baroness said that she wanted to try it on. Bowing, the man asked the lady to go to the fitting room. Left alone, Scarlet began to listen to the conversations of society ladies. The girls openly discussed Louis, who was also unmarried like the Archduke himself. The aristocrat assured her friend that Louis's family was trying to find him a bride. The embarrassed blonde assured that he was a real handsome man, and suggested that the girls were running in droves. Scarlet's face quickly turned pale, and her heartbeat echoed in her ears. The Duchess reminded herself that the guy was over 20 years old, and he was still single. She reassured herself that the brunette was not eager to tie the knot with some girl. She noticed the painfully familiar hair the color of a raven feather. The knight knelt in front of a pretty girl in a beautiful sky-blue dress. Louis carefully tied his shoes so that he could walk comfortably. Scarlet remembered again that night when her lover kissed her feet. Soon the girl stood up and took the brunette's arm. The Duchess tightly squeezed the hand on which was wearing the beautiful ring that he had given her. The brunette quickly noticed Milady's presence and turned to her. Scarlet's face flushed crimson and she could not utter a word. The Archduke assured his sister that he was sure that Samuel had betrayed them. The blonde said that he needed to hurry up and finish off Frederick, without waiting for the moment Joshua became pregnant. The princess clarified whether the brown-haired man would give up the throne if the current emperor died. Amaryllis reminded that he had been gathering influential aristocrats around him for more than a decade. The woman was sure that after the death of the emperor, he would convince them to amend the constitution, abolishing the rules according to which only men could inherit the throne. The blonde was sure that the duke would make sure that the closest blood relative inherited the throne, regardless of gender. She was afraid that in such a case all the power would go to Joshua. George asked whether in this case the throne should go to his sister. The woman said that the nobles are on Samuel's side. If he nominates Joshua, they will receive support from the aristocrats. Amaryllis said that they needed to buy a little more time. The princess said that they needed to turn the aristocracy against the duke before Joshua gave birth to the child. George offered to make sure that she could not get pregnant, just as happened to the empress more than a decade ago. The Archduke proposed to make Joshua sterile. The brunette greeted Lady Huntington. Scarlet asked if she had interrupted his date. Her face showed confusion mixed with sadness. The knight assured that this is not what the Duchess thought. The guy introduced his little sister Emily Louise, and he said that he was showing her the capital. Smiling, the brown-haired woman assured that she was incredibly glad to meet her. Louis noticed that the Duchess was still wearing the ring he had given her. She said that it was very nice to meet Amelie. Running out of the fitting room, the brown-haired woman turned to her sister, trying to attract attention. Erica asked her older sister who these people were. The Duchess introduced her younger sister to Louis. The Baroness bowed politely and greeted her new acquaintances. Grinning, Amelie told Miss Chandler that she was incredibly glad to meet her. The girl said that she was also very pleased to meet you, and noticed that she was very similar to her brother. The knight noticed that the girls were quite different from each other. The guy realized that even at the wedding, he noticed that Scarlet was not at all like any of her relatives. The brown-haired woman said that her sister took after her maternal grandmother. The girl explained that she had the same fiery red hair, and suggested that she was just a beauty in her youth. Louis realized that he had seen a portrait of their grandmother in the Imperial Gallery. The guy realized that the woman did not have red hair. The horses paced in rhythm along the paving stones heading towards the Duke's property. Erica clutched the box tightly in her hands and dreamed of her entry into high society. The Duchess could not understand what kind of emotions were raging in her heart. The girl realized that the thought that Edmund had someone else made her angry for a moment and caused unbearable pain. Scarlet recalled that she had an affair with George, not that one. All the warm memories associated with the brunette flashed through her head. The Duchess's face instantly turned red, and she looked at the landscape that was quickly passing outside the window. The brown-haired woman asked her sister what happened. The girl said that there was nothing serious, she just felt hot. The Duchess recalled that despite the fact that they are not in a relationship, she may have a chance to one day be with her lover and be free. Amaryllis explained that the Empress drank this remedy, after which she became infertile. The blonde explained that the decanter contained a special mixture of herbal infusion and wine. The woman said that her poison would enhance the effectiveness of this decoction. She assured that if Joshua took even one sip, he would never be able to have children again. The princess did not know how to slip this potion to the girl. Grinning, George suggested that Scarlet would help them bring the plan to life. Lowering her eyes, the woman noticed that the Duchess was taking care of her husband's mistress. Amaryllis clarified whether her brother was going to entrust the girl with this mission. The blonde said that it was not necessary to tell the Duchess everything. The woman asked whether he was going to deceive Milady. The guy explained that all Scarlet needed was a divorce from Samuel and a guarantee of her own safety. The Archduke was sure that if they started a coup, the girl would try to stop them. The blonde said that he did not intend to scare Scarlet with something like that. The guy said what he was going to say, and that this was a necessary step on the path to freedom. He was sure that this was not even a lie. The princess clarified. Why would a brother ruin the Duke's marriage? The guy said that a former friend tried to make the girl infertile, George stopped seeing the brown-haired man as an arch, and he turned into a traitor in his eyes. The Archduke was sure that Samuel was going to place Joshua's child on the throne and become regent. The blonde dared to suggest that the Duke did not need other offspring. He was sure that Sam wanted to deprive Lady Huntington of the opportunity to have children in order to gain Joshua's trust. George said that he wanted to save the girl before it was too late, and said that in any case they would have to do this. The guy explained that he wanted to help Scarlett gain independence and enlist her support. Amaryllis said that she would meet with the Duchess soon, as they would need to discuss her son's upcoming wedding. The blonde promised to contact his sister a little later. The woman said that he must win Lady Huntington over to his side. The princess warned her brother that if she turned away from him, everything would be lost. The Archduke asked his sister not to worry, assuring him that he had almost won her heart. Amaryllis warned that her brother was playing with fire, because if Scarlett knows that she was used, then he will not be happy. George clarified why he suddenly used her. After all, my sister missed the possibility that he could truly love. The blonde said that for this reason he wanted to help the Duchess even more. The princess said that the girl is not one of those who is ready to rush into the pool of feelings without losing her head. The Archduke reported that the girl needed help to divorce Samuel. The guy realized that Scarlett was a very prudent person who would never choose a man who could not give her what she wanted. The princess said that Scarlett's father was an ordinary merchant who was not famous for his wealth. The woman asked her brother to be careful because Scarlett was supposed to be the key to the execution of their plans. The knights entered the Imperial Gallery and realized that Betty Mudd was brown-haired. The guy realized that Scarlett was not at all like her grandmother. The gentleman ordered Louis to find out as much as possible and said that nothing should be missed. Events quickly moved to the guild. Not long ago, Puccini contacted Madame. Scarlett hoped to finally find out who her real parents were. Bowing, the brown-haired man said that the Duchess was expected inside. Entering the room, the girl noticed that they had not seen Benjamin for a long time. The Duchess asked whether he had read the letter she sent. The girl recalled that when she was studying commerce, she once discovered several inconsistencies in the accounting reports. She said that as a child she believed it was a mistake, but recently she remembered the incident and asked for a reinvestigation. Scarlett reported that the investigation had obtained evidence of theft. Jumping up sharply from his seat, the man said that it had been quite a long time. Benjamin clarified why she suddenly decided to take up the matter after so many years. The Duchess roughly threw a bag of jewelry onto the table. The girl assured that if he revealed the whole truth to her, then this information would not reach her father. She promised to forget about it forever. Drops of cold sweat appeared on the man's face, and he clarified what he wanted to find out about. Placing her hand on her chest, Scarlett clarified whose daughter she was by birth. The butler said that when Mr. Tanju went to sell salt, he started an affair with a woman there. The man explained that after returning to Florence, the Baron got married and then Jonathan and Erica were born. Benjamin reported that shortly after Erica's birth, a mysterious old woman came to the estate with a baby with fiery red hair. I read trust in his blue eyes, and Scarlett asked if it was her. The butler reported that Tanju recognized her as his daughter and gave her the surname Chandler. A little confused, Scarlett asked the man to explain who her real mother was and what happened to you. The man said that her biological mother died during childbirth. Benjamin explained that the lady's biological mother was the daughter of a shaman from one of the Pandaria tribes. The woman inherited the powerful magical power of her mother, who had the gift of predicting the future. The butler explained that Tanju accepted the baby to remove the curse from the grandmother. The sorceress said that if the baby found out about her origin, then his son would lose his life. The Duchess turned pale and asked if everything would be all right with Jonathan. The man said that the witchcraft had already lost its power and was in effect until Scarlett grew up and got married. The butler explained that the inhabitants of Pandaria received their magical power from red dragons, and in terms of power it is quite capable of being compared with the imperial one. Benjamin said that the gentleman had no other choice but to adopt her. The man suggested that Jonathan was also happy about her wedding, because that day was the day of liberation from the curse. The girl said that she understood everything and he could leave. Having bowed, the butler quickly walked out the door. Scarlett realized that the logical chain was closing, and that she was the result of a random relationship and a burden that the father had to take to save his son. The girl realized that if she had guessed that they had an adopted daughter, Jonathan could have died. But her father had to raise her despite the fact that she was unloved and an unnecessary child. The girl understood why her father happily got rid of her and sold her to Samuel as soon as he had the opportunity. The Duchess realized why her mother did not stop her husband. Scarlett realized with pain in her heart that she had never been welcome in the Chandler family. Soon Puccini turned to the lady, tearing her out of her thoughts. Grinning, the brown-haired man said that he had something for her. The man handed the Duchess a small painting. The merchant explained that once he came to Pandaria on business, and then he helped one shaman, her daughter. Puccini said that the woman brought her granddaughter to her father and gave him a farewell gift. The man explained that she said that one day he would meet a person to whom he would have to give this portrait. With excitement, Scarlett clarified whether he knew where his grandmother was at the moment. The Duchess was amazed that all her relatives lived in Pandaria. Bowing his head, the brown-haired man said that everyone had died long ago, and Granny Scarlett had no one except her daughter. The girl tightly pressed the portrait of her family to her chest. With pain in her heart, the Duchess suggested that her grandmother hated her because the woman's only daughter died when she gave birth to her. Having lowered his eyes, the merchant assured that this was not at all the case, and that her grandmother was a great seer and knew that her daughter was destined to die during childbirth. He said that when the baby was born, she predicted her fate. With a voice trembling with excitement, Scarlett clarified what she said about her path. The brown-haired woman said that she would dominate the Florisha water utility. Drops of cold sweat began to flow from the mistress's face, and she clarified what these words meant. The merchant suggested that this was a sign that her business would prosper. The man assured that her life would be full of joyful events because this was the prophecy. The scientist suggested that the woman was still praying for the happiness of her granddaughter in heaven. A barely noticeable smile appeared on the Duchess's face. She realized that her family really wanted her to be happy and live a decent life. Brown asked whether Joshua refused to take medication. The butler reported that he found the remains of herbs in the sink and assumed that she did not want to drink the broth because of the bitter taste. The butler clarified what the gentleman would do in this situation. Grinning, the Duke looked out the window and said that the blonde must be severely punished. Samuel asked the cook to add herbs to the girl's food and assumed that she would not notice anything. The guy is tired of indulging the whims of his mistress. The brown-haired man wanted to quickly conceive a child with Joshua in order to achieve his goals. Everyone knew that the Florence Canal was built by the Red Dragon goddess, who fell in love with the first emperor. It was passed down from generation to generation to the eldest member of the imperial family who was the heir to the throne. When Princess Amaryllis was born, the previous emperor did not break this tradition, and during the bathing ritual, dropped a drop of her blood into the water canal. After the birth of Frederick, the emperor decided to make the guy his next heir and took away everything from his daughter except the right to own the water utility, because it was impossible to take it away. Thanks to the magic of the Red Dragon, once the owner was determined, nothing could be changed. Otherwise, the Pandarians would have laid claim to it long ago. Florence's waterworks was considered a symbol of imperial power. The brown-haired man became interested in what the word dominate meant in this prophecy. The rays of the sun flooded the luxurious estate. On this day, there was a holiday of the rising sun, and also Erica's first debut in secular society. The sister helped the brown-haired woman get out of the small carriage. The little girl's eyes shone with joy because she realized how important this day was. The debutante asked Scarlett if she should come to this event with the Duke. The girl said that he left before she did, because he had urgent matters and they could not wait for him. The Duchess felt how her husband's relationship changed after the masquerade ball. Scarlett could not believe that he did not even accompany her to this evening. She assumed that the brown-haired man was tired of pretending to be a good husband. The girl encouraged Erica to remind her that this was her first ball. Scarlett admitted that she went there only to support her little sister on such an important day. The girls entered the hall, which was filled with live soft music and a light aroma of vanilla was in the air. The aristocrats were spinning in a light dance, and some were talking among themselves. Erica looked at everything around with delight. The brunette greeted Miss Huntington. Scarlett smiled politely when she saw old acquaintances. The girl asked who was next to the Duchess. The Duchess introduced her little sister. Having curtsied, the little girl introduced herself as Erica Chandler. The woman grinned and noted that the Baroness was as charming as Miss Huntington. Green Eyes carefully examined the girls and noticed that they were not at all similar to each other. The brunette admitted that they had no idea that there were blood relatives standing in front of them. The girl clarified whether it seemed to others that the girls were not sisters. Angry, Erica asked the aristocrats what they were saying. Our heroine knew that the brown-haired woman was always irritated by such remarks. The girl realized that it would be worth reassuring her younger sister. Scarlett could not afford to raise her voice at the Baroness at her first ball, because it would be disrespectful. The brown-haired woman said that besides, the relatives could very well differ from each other in appearance. The girl admitted that when she was little, she was also sometimes told that she was not at all like her older brother. The Countess said that she had never had to deal with gossip about her family being unfaithful. Scarlett realized that standing in front of her was her lover's younger sister. Winking at her friend, the girl said that they were just joking. The brunette picked up this idea and asked not to be angry with them. The aristocrat said that it was time for them to go and greet the other guests. Emily was amazed at how tactless they were. The brown-haired girl realized that she had behaved no better last time and asked for forgiveness. Bowing, Erica said that they had often heard this. The Duchess thanked her lover's younger sister for her help. The Countess said that sometimes one can be amazed at the morals of the capital's aristocrats. The brown-haired woman said that when she lived at the Kingsley estate with her brother, she had already gotten used to it. Scarlett asked if she was in Kingsley. The girl said that they were worried about staying in their home, but she was received very warmly at the Archduke's estate. Emily explained that Mr. George valued her brother for his faithful service and took care of her because of this. The Countess assured that he was a wonderful person. The thought flashed through the Duchess's head that Emily was in love with George Kingsley. Sam extended his hand to his wife and invited her to dance. The embarrassed girl assumed that she had prevented Scarlett from spending time with her husband. The Duchess said she enjoyed the conversation. The girl realized that if they were going to continue pretending to be a loving couple, they would have done it from the very beginning of the ball. She asked the Duke if he had finished his important business. Smiling, the girl told her sister that they would see each other a little later. While Scarlett was spinning in the Gentle Merlin, she was surrounded by many men. Sam couldn't take his eyes off the brunette. The guy told his wife that she did not shine with grace on this beautiful day. The girl realized that the brown-haired man had a terrible acting game. The girl was sure that he used her to divert George's suspicions from himself. Scarlett could not understand why her husband's attitude towards her in public had changed so much. The Duke released his wife and went to the beautiful woman, who was surrounded by the attention of other men. The aristocrats were discussing that Duke Huntington came to the ball with Lady Tanville. The guests assumed that they were having a passionate affair. Scarlett carefully watched where her husband went. The Duke approached the brunette and passionately pressed her to him. The aristocrats realized that he had invited the brunette to dance, citing the rules of etiquette. They noticed that Sam immediately ran away as soon as he finished dancing with his wife. The girl hoped that they would no longer have to pretend that they loved each other. She could not understand what could attract Lady Tanuil in someone like her husband. The girl looked at Scarlett with a grin, saying that she was sure that she had always been on good terms with her husband. The brown-haired woman suggested that the Duke could not give up his old habits. The insolent aristocrat assured that the Duchess was not Sam's type. She claimed that such a simpleton had neither the appearance nor a rich dowry, and advised Scarlett to return to her barnyard. The Duchess realized that this lady was nothing but trouble. The girl understood that if they made a fuss about you, it could have a bad effect on Erica's reputation. She decided to pretend like she hadn't heard anything. Hot tears appeared on the little sister's face and slowly rolled down her cheeks. Scarlett ordered her to watch her tongue. The girl explained that other ladies were free to adore her husband, and said that there was no need to be angry if he did not choose her. Lady Westminster gloomily asked what she said a moment ago. Scarlett noticed that she was trying to insult her by calling her a hillbilly, forgetting that she also had a noble origin. The Duchess said that she was an ordinary fool with delusions of grandeur, and suggested that this was the fruit of her metropolitan upbringing. The brown-haired woman was furious, saying that this was unheard of insolence. The girl ran up to the Duchess and pushed her, causing her to fall to the floor with her ankle twisted. Running up to Miss Huntington, Amelia asked if she was okay. The debutante asked the girl what she allowed herself to do. The princess approached Scarlett and clarified what was happening. Lady Westminster flinched as the princess loomed over her. Louis was worried about his beloved and rushed to her aid. He and his master the Archduke simultaneously extended a helping hand to our heroine. There was an awkward pause. The gentleman looked angrily at the knight. The young brunette looked confused. The Archduke looked at the brunette with a look that pierced the guy's heart. Louis had a grimace on his face. A little nervous about this situation, the Duchess immediately accepted help from George and thanked him for his help. The blonde asked his beloved if she was hurt. Rising from the floor, Scarlett reported that everything was fine. The girl looked at the brunette, expecting that he, as always, would show concern and help her with her injury. The Archduke assumed that she had sprained her ankle. Looking away, she assured that there was nothing serious about it. The blonde grinned and asked the princess if they would allow the culprit of the incident to avoid deserved punishment. The very nervous culprit said that she could explain everything, and Lady Huntington was the first to start this quarrel. Amaryllis noticed that she had harmed the girl in the imperial palace, and now she was making excuses. The princess assured that the brown-haired woman would not get away with this. She said that she had no idea that the Westminster family raised their daughter so poorly. In a trembling voice, the girl asked for forgiveness. The woman ordered the brown-haired woman to immediately go home and said that the decision on punishment would be made personally by the emperor himself. Amaryllis sternly informed that the girl's family would also be held responsible for her behavior. The Archduke invited the girl to take her into the living room and examine her ankle. George explained that if she did not take the necessary measures, the situation could worsen. The Duchess realized that if she left with the guy, her husband could get angry like last time. Trying to cheer up his friend, the guy said that Sam had left with the brunette and asked not to worry about it. The guy said that he was so carried away by the woman that he didn't even notice how his wife was pushed. The girl was a little taken aback that the Duke knew about this affair, because she was sure that her husband was trying to hide it. Scarlett knew that all this time they were creating the appearance of a happy relationship in order to deceive Archduke Kingsley. She realized that if her husband was caught cheating, then she would not have to pretend. The princess noticed the girl and assumed that she was Lady Huntington's sister. Bowing, the brown-haired woman assured that the lady understood everything correctly and claimed that she was very pleased to meet you. The blonde assured that Scarlett was incredibly lucky to have her younger sister. Amaryllis told my lady that she would like to show her wonderful sister the imperial palace. The Duchess suggested that she would do the debutante a great honor. The princess asked Amelia if she wanted to join this excursion. Smiling, the girl said that she would go with them with great pleasure. The blonde invited his beloved to also go, leaning on his shoulder. Having seated Scarlett on the sofa, the blonde dropped to one knee and examined her injured leg. The guy gently took off her shoes so as not to hurt her foot even more. The Duke assured that that girl would pay for the fact that the Duchess suffered. Confused, the girl said that this was not entirely the brown-haired woman's fault. Scarlett explained that while dancing with her husband, she tripped over something and slightly injured her leg. It was because of this that when she was pushed, she could not maintain her balance and fell. Smirking, George announced that he would finish off his opponent. Handing over a bundle of pills, the knight said that they were an excellent pain reliever and anti-inflammatory for her ladyship. The brunette said that he would try to get everything he needed for a cold compress. The Archduke said that he would pour some water so that she could wash down the medicine, and asked his beloved to wait a little. The brunette averted his amethyst eyes so that they would not give away his secrets. The Archduke informed Scarlett that he had not, in fact, brought her to this place just to examine her ankle. Handing over a glass of cold water, the blonde said that he needed to discuss something with her alone. The girl clarified what was the reason for this urgent conversation. George first asked his lover to take some medicine and promised to explain everything soon. A bad feeling raged in the Duchess's soul. Scarlett was afraid that he noticed that there was something between her and Louis. Pulling herself together, she clarified what he wanted to talk about. Before starting a serious conversation, the guy passionately kissed the Duchess. She slightly moved him away and clarified whether this was what he wanted to talk about. The guy remembered that he wanted to ask the girls to give Joshua a drug that caused infertility. After a little hesitation, George said that he had something to tell. But when he looked at her face, everything else immediately disappeared from his mind. The blonde suggested continuing the conversation after they had fully enjoyed each other. Scarlett couldn't wait for the knight to return. As if he had read her thoughts, the guy said that she didn't have to worry about Louis, that he was a fairly smart knight. George said that he was used to observing the gentleman's personal life behind closed doors. Gently touching the girl's chin, the Archduke said that if they were busy, then the knight should wait patiently. Pushing him away, the Duchess clarified whether he was going to make the man who wanted to help treat her wounds wait outside the door. A little taken aback, the blonde asked if her ankle hurt. Scarlett explained that the medications relieved the pain, but this did not mean that the injury was completely gone. George asked his beloved for forgiveness for his rudeness. The blonde put his hand on his forehead, reproaching himself for acting selfishly again. The girl asked him not to bother him and to tell him what he wanted to talk about. Confused, George said that he would like to return to their conversation at the masquerade ball. The Archduke recalled that the girl assured that she would not want Sam's mistress to become pregnant. The guy asked if the Duchess was sure of her decision. After an affirmative answer, the blonde said that he had something that could help with this. The guy took out a small bottle from his jacket pocket. He explained that there was a contraceptive there, and he clarified whether his beloved could give it to Joshua. The Duchess recalled that he himself emphasized that his mistress's pregnancy would help her divorce her husband. George admitted that he really used to think so. The guy said that the Duke would not let her leave so easily, and that if the blonde gives birth to a child for him, he will want to marry him off as his legal heir. The blonde said that Sam would need her for this. The Archduke suggested that he would force the girl to raise someone else's child. Our heroine realized that this could really happen. George clarified whether the Duchess should play it safe once again, saying that there is nothing wrong with taking care of her own safety. Scarlett explained that she did not wish such a fate for the blonde, but did not know whether she would want to help her. The guy was a little taken aback and asked if she was talking about Samuel's mistress. The Duchess was sure that it would be great happiness for the blonde to give birth to a child from him. She realized that if she advised Joshua to drink this drug, she would not agree. George clarified whether Sam's mistress knew that he was having an affair with Marilyn. Scarlett realized that she could not find out about this because she sat in captivity all day long, unable to leave her room. Smiling, the guy suggested telling the blonde about it. A little taken aback, the Duchess clarified whether he wanted her to talk about the fact that the brown-haired man was courting a woman. The Archduke was sure that if Joshua found out about this, he would not want to have a child with this scoundrel. The Duchess was worried that the girl would have a stroke from such news. Scarlett promised to talk to the blonde. George told the girl that he wanted to say something else, but he would answer when she kissed him. The girl was amazed at the blonde's persistence and reached out to his lips. A persistent knock on the door prevented the couple from kissing. The blonde asked where his vaunted seductiveness had gone. A little upset, the blonde said that the knight could enter the room. The brunette held in his hands a lot of dressing material, a basin of ice and crutches. Louis said he brought the necessary materials for dressing and support, so that the lady would not put any weight on the leg. The Archduke assured that this would help improve her condition, and ordered the guy to examine Lady Huntington's ankle one more time. The knight knelt down and began the procedure. Scarlett clarified what the blonde wanted to show her. George took a small envelope from his pocket and handed it to him. The girl realized that it was an agreement to open a gondola business that they had recently drawn up. Scarlett asked if there were any problems. The blonde, pointing to the desired line, said that he had made some amendments to it. The Duchess asked if he had increased the amount of investment. The guy noticed that he also changed the percentage of income received. She realized that most of the net profit would go to her. Scarlett clarified whether this was too generous for a business partner. The blonde said that he wanted this project to help her quickly become financially independent, and said that he did not take it on for the money. He hoped that the girl would see the purity of his thoughts in this. The Duchess realized that the knight's words were the pure truth, and George used it to achieve his goals. The girl realized that this was a rather dangerous matter and should not get involved in it. She asked the guy if he had forgotten that it was impossible to buy her. The Archduke reported that Scarlett had misunderstood him. The guy explained that he wanted her to feel more confident. He was sure that this business would help her accumulate a good financial cushion to quickly get back on her feet after her divorce from Samuel. The Archduke said that she would soon be able to fly free and find herself in his arms, separated from her nasty husband. The guy said that she would be able to spend more time with him. The girl realized that the Archduke was trying to seduce her with sweet speeches. Our heroine could not understand where the craftsman had gone who was trying to woo her with cheap trinkets. Scarlett tried to understand at what point the blonde began to value her much more. The Duchess longed to find out what was so valuable about her that she herself did not even suspect. The girl assumed that this had something to do with her origin. She realized that the Archduke still could not know about this. George said that if she was satisfied with these conditions, then she could put her stamp on the document. The aristocrat said that she left it at home. The blonde insisted that he could not let her go until the agreement was approved. Louis's face changed. After all, the knight guessed where everything was going. It looked like his lover might be in danger or might be forced into action.